Yeah, dude. Like 56 years old. That's what I just said. I want Jake Paul call out Mike Tyson.
I'm not calling out Mike Tyson. I mean, the amount of money that would come out of that.
I think he's a very smart guy, right? The Paul brothers are very smart, but like they're definitely not calling out fucking power hitters.
One of them, I believe, is like a little more legit of a fighter than the other one.
Well, which one would you say is a little
skill set? I don't watch either of them. I just hear the names and know that.
Are you saying Logan, the older one, is probably a better fighter?
I don't know which one. I'm not that smart. Definitely not that smart, nor savvy on the fighting.
He's definitely more reserved. I mean, I appreciate what he's doing for this, like the sport and how he's marketing. Is a genius, man. He's bringing so much money and a new audience into boxing. But I'm like watching Mike Tyson spar at 50. What did you say, Mark? 56? 56 years old. Dude, like I
don't care what age he's at in that. Just watching that is not happening.
No, bro. That's why I carry guns. Jesus, dude. Amazing.
You should see there was one, there was a picture that had him at like 25, 35, and 56. Doesn't look any different. I mean, like.
Other than just massive.
For better purposes, he doesn't look any
just
different.
Massive amount of CTE in his brain. Other than that.
I'm talking about the outside shell.
Yeah. Well, he got all fucked up for a little while. And then
down regulate his life a little bit.
Yeah.
Like living in the fast track for so long.
Get off the cocaine and from that. Jeez. Well, anyways. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Harbor Site. Oh, nope. Sorry. The Always Forward podcast. I went on an autopilot there for a second. That's episode 41 with my man Josh Honsberger. And you haven't been on
officially? No.
No, I mean I guess officially. You've been on a bunch. When was the last time that we did a podcast?
Texas.
You're gonna have to.
Your book.
That wasn't really a podcast. That was like an audio book. So if you guys buy Excommunicate Warrior, Josh is in two chapters. Staying on top of the mountain and then circling the drain.
I think so.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you nailed it, bud.
I was like, damn. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I think it was the last time we kind of officially sat down and talked.
Yeah. We had a really long one. One of those videos that we did talking about prepping for the military is like, I think in the millions of views.
For real?
Yeah.
I didn't even track it.
Yeah. So let's get everybody caught up. Josh Honsberger, you guys, is I don't understand how you do this. Former Marine Raider. I don't know.
At one point in time in life?
At one point in time in life, right. So Josh and I served together at MARSOC. We were on the same team. And now we continue to serve men of this country, I guess world too, really. There's people all over the world working with the Agoge. And we'll get into that story. But real quick, I want you guys to get to know Josh. So Josh grew up in Buffalo, right?
Yes.
Talk real quick before we get into, because I'm going to have you talk about the incident that ended your career.
Sure.
So you're going to start, hopefully you don't sweat this time. Talk to me about growing up and, if you're cool with it, talk about not growing up with a father in the house and granddad and baseball and everything. So give us the Cliff Notes, Josh.
Oh boy. One way long time ago. Now in Buffalo, outside the city, so kind of suburban area.
Yeah.
It was old school, like kind of like a Northeast area, but not in the city. Real old school, real traditional. Farm country, tons of farmland, like on the outside of the town. Ironically, as I learned history, because I kind of like family history, lineage, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't remember the year, but a lot of my family heritage had actually kind of started like that town. So small town, like my grandpa.
Yeah.
The baseball field at the fire hall was named after him. He was a volunteer firefighter.
Right. The baseball field is a Honsberger.
Yeah. One is his brother's.
Okay.
They're named after his brother. My Uncle George, phenomenal ball player. Like all his kids are ball players. And that's actually where I played all throughout my childhood. It wasn't always named that, but it was the park that was like central to like the town park. It was the biggest field. And then my grandpa was for a period of time in his life, like almost 70 years, a volunteer firefighter at like the local volunteer firefighter.
Right across the street.
Yeah, literally right across the street. I mean, it's like old school, you know. And he had the field was named after him just because all his, you know, his efforts as when he was a kid, or you know, his working years, and then afterwards, you know, coaching and scorekeeping and just kind of being the presence of the team. So
There all the time.
Yeah.
And you played ball
forever. I mean, as long as I can remember. I think I started 5 years old, like whenever you initially start, and it was the leagues, summer camp. Like I lived my life in baseball. I mean, it was,
Josh, one of those guys that if you hand him a bat and you swing a ball, you're just going to hear a crack and it's going over the fence.
I definitely surprised myself. Not to toot the horn, but I mean, like it surprised me.
I watched you play. What were you playing out there in California for a while?
Softball.
But what was the?
I mean, I was playing
team?
with the organization Warrior Built.
Yeah, Warrior Built. That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, we were playing with really talented people.
Yeah.
And we were like the crippled, half put together Bad News Bears.
I forgot who I was.
Everyone.
Yeah, I forgot who I was with, and somebody was out there, and you were stepping up. I'm like, watch this. Sure enough, crack right over, and you were like,
I don't like to run fast, so if I can hit it harder and farther, and then I can limit my running capabilities, and I can just kind of jog around the bases.
Yeah. I think they played that too. They're like, all right, let's load the bases. All right, Honsberger, get out here and do your thing.
Strategic. So I grew up, you know, small town, Buffalo, you know, outside New York. I lived with and grew up with my grandparents and my mom. So she was a single parent for my entire life. Essentially growing up, we literally lived in the same home, all three of us, or four of us, you know, three of them. Kind of collectively raising me, I guess. You know, my mom worked her ass off in jobs.
Still is.
Yeah. Still is.
Yeah.
You know, so with...
Shout out to you, Mama Honsberger. Thank you. You got a great son.
She knows how to put in the work. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, she does.
So we lived with them up until I think I was about 12, you know, and then finally I think my mom was like, all right, this has been good.
You lived in that little house until you were 12 years old?
Yeah, man. I mean, my grandparents, when they were, you know, the parents of my mom and my aunts and uncles, I mean, there was 6 people living in that house.
What?
Yeah. So for us, it was almost a reduction, you know?
Yeah.
But it was awesome. It was basically, that was my childhood home, you know, growing up and living there. We finally, you know, had moved out, went on our own and lived in apartments and
Yeah.
But yeah, she was a single mom, you know, working her ass off and trying to teach me and instill in me everything, you know, to the best of her capability. And I think she did a good job.
She did. So, how was that mentality back then? Like, what was your thought process of not having dad in the house back then?
Yeah. So it's something I've sat on, I guess.
Yeah.
Like not thinking about it, obviously, when you're a kid.
And the reason why we're to bring this up is because of what we do now and how focused we are on being a dad and being a good dad and being present and active and working hard on yourself and, you know, and putting that to your kids. So
honestly, one of the things was I had, you know, 2 grandparents, but, you know, a grandpa. And then I also had other strong members, males, that were father figures of sort, right? Like I had an uncle that was extremely close to me. My mom and him were like literally best friends, and he was divorced. So my cousins that were, you know, his and me, we kind of, everyone jokingly was like, oh, it's your wife / you know, / sister, and nothing weird about it. Trust me. But it was just they, you know, they were close.
So because you had your grandfather, your uncle, and everybody, do you feel like you missed out on anything, or did they really step up to the plate as like role models? And
both. And this is me looking back, right? Like, so they did step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Whether or not they consciously did it or not, I really don't know.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was an effort of like, hey, this kid doesn't have a dad, like, you know, let's step in and try and be that extra little footer.
Yeah.
I had a couple of good friends that had dads as well that were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you know, and they would always kind of step in. And I've told them now in my adult life, after I've been able to, you know, look back on it, I've manned up and I've told them, I said, hey man, like, I don't know if you know this, but
it made a difference
because you know, brought me into your home and treated me this way. And I watched the way that you treated your kids, and I didn't have like a legitimate, you know, father in my home. It helped instill some of those principles that I had no clue what they were supposed to be. So part of it, like, they did step up to the plate, but there's only so much you can do at some point if someone's not physically in that home all the time. So if you're listening, you're trying to, you kind of have to step up as much as humanly possible.
Absolutely.
You can never be the person physically in the home, but anytime that you can't interject anything, whether it be
you can make a difference.
Yeah, whether it be a mental state of something, a perspective, a physical way to perform something or do something, like bring those kids into the fold. I mean, it could be teaching your own kid how to ride a bike, and you're watching this other kid down the road, and you know that, mom might not be the best at it, or maybe she's putting on, 6 pairs of helmets and, elbow pads and wrist pads and knee pads, and, your kids are running around like banshees. It's, maybe you bring them into the fold.
That's a good point, because there's a lot of, we've had friends that have lost, we've lost our friends, and, mothers are kind of, there to have to raise their kids by themselves, or the dad's just not in the picture and whatnot, and mom has to kind of play both roles, and that's not really the way it's designed, right? It's,
it's
mom needs to be mom.
It's not their fault. They try their hardest, but I mean, very well. I mean, being kind of in the same shoes, there's only so much you can bridge that gap until you kind of need to call in some reinforcements.
Yeah. My mom did, when I was in it, I was like, oh, this sucks, but now looking back, me and my brother talk about it all the time. Like, dude, she most time worked 2 jobs and did her best to,
do what you could.
We're breathing.
She stepped up to the plate herself.
Me and my brother were alive. We made it this far. I honestly, I wouldn't change a thing, man, because all those struggles, the good, the bad, everything kind of led me down the road of who I am today. So everybody's like, what's your single regret? I'm like, nothing. Are the things that I messed up? Yeah, but I can't regret them because I learned so much from them, and it led me to who this person is today.
Different forms of growth.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly never felt internally, though. Yeah, there was points and times, like we're all human and we're kids. And
I remember you were mad. You were mad at one point. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I might cover that. I might leave that out.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I had a really good group of friends.
Yeah.
I had a really good group of like neighborhood kids to start when I was younger. And they kind of didn't ask. They didn't poke prod. They didn't make fun. They didn't, there was no like shit talking.
You mean, wait a minute, you grew up back in the 80s and early 90s and you didn't get bullied? Josh Honsberger didn't get bullied?
There was different types of shit talking. But on that specific thing,
I wouldn't have bullied you.
On that specific thing, it wasn't ever targeted. And then for me personally, I never drove my mom or asked her about it. I never pressured her about
I remember that,
it because, again, this is kind of looking back into it. Wasn't really conscious at that time. Maybe it was, but looking back in it, I didn't think she was doing anything wrong. I didn't feel like there was this massive lack, even though I knew it was definitely a void.
Yeah. But it was...
And I didn't want to put it on her. I was like, fuck, she's doing so much. She's working these jobs.
There was so much effort around you that it's...
Yeah, she's raising me well.
Yeah.
I'm not lacking in things that I couldn't think that I was lacking in. And I was like, shit, man, there's no reason for me to ask her. Like, my life is not, I don't see it to be in a negative state. I'm not super lacking something. I don't want to put the pressure on her. Fuck it, I'm not going to ask her.
I think that's a lesson right to itself, right? Like, if you say you are dealt with, a shit sandwich, and that's the hand you're dealt, you can make it work.
Yeah.
It just takes an enormous amount. You got to be present, make it, and put an enormous amount of effort into it.
And I don't know what it was like from her perspective.
That'd be interesting.
Certainly not easy. Probably frustrating. Probably had many of moments of like, holy
dude.
Shit, what am I doing?
Sure. Yeah.
Am I doing this right?
Yeah. I mean, we do that now.
Yeah.
And we're both married and have kids, and I'm still like, fuck. Jeez, man.
Well, at least you have a spouse so you can be like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, I did this. What do you think? Should I have, done it this way or that way? Or you can kind of collectively work. And when you're a single parent.
There's no manual, bro.
No.
Yeah. I love that Will Smith thing. He's like, I was putting together a stereo, and it had like a 500-page manual on how to put this surround system together at my house. And then his wife went in labor with her first kid. And he all of a sudden they ran out the door to go to the hospital. A couple of days later, they come back with the child.
No instructions.
He's
like, you're an adult, right? You know how to do
that was
things.
such a funny little clip because he's like, they let me come home with a human being with no instructions. I got a stereo sitting there with a 500-page manual on how to operate. I got a person.
I'm supposed to keep alive.
Yeah, I'm supposed to keep alive. There's no manual. There isn't a manual, man. There isn't a manual. Anyway, so you played ball?
Baseball, football.
You actually could have gone to college for baseball.
Yeah, for sure. I almost didn't play my senior year.
Really?
Dude, it was a dumb decision I was about to make.
Yeah. Was there a girl involved?
No. I don't fucking know. I really don't. I don't really.
You were a kid.
I think I was trying to justify, like, holy shit, I'm going in the Marine Corps because I already knew it was going to happen. Like I signed
so
up.
you made the decision that you weren't going to go to school for ball to go to the Marine Corps.
No, let's see. I signed papers in October of senior year when I was still 17.
Okay.
I signed with my mom. She had to sign me away, which I'm sure wasn't easy for her at that point either.
I can only imagine.
No, dude. But baseball's not till the spring, and it goes from spring all the way into the summer.
Yeah.
And I think for some weird reason, I played football, like senior year.
For the fall. In the fall. Yeah.
And then as it was getting closer, I knew I was going to the Marine Corps, and I was like, shit, I don't know if I get hurt. If I throw my shoulder out, can I still go in the military? I'm not really sure.
What positions did you play?
Pitcher.
Really?
That was it. I could play first base, but
how you pitching with that arm now?
Fine.
Really?
Dude, on plate screws, it don't fucking matter, man.
Really?
I can still throw.
Yeah, we'll get into Josh's shoulder here in a little bit. Yeah.
I can still throw.
Nice.
But yeah, one of my best friends found out. Like, I just didn't show up to the first practice. And I had known my coach since I was 5.
Yeah.
He was the summer league coach.
Was he one of those things like in the 80s, like he shows up to your house like, Mr. Honsberger, where have you been?
He's like the aura legend of baseball in the entire surrounding area. From any division, any league, everyone knows this guy. It was kind of fucked up. Like, I didn't say anything to him. My one buddy knew that I was maybe thinking about it. I didn't really have a justifiable answer, and I just didn't show up the first day. And he came and found me. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
The friend or the coach?
The friend.
Okay.
I think the coach was like, go fucking find him. It's like one of those like you, Z, go fucking get him.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact conversation, but it was something like, man, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to the military. Like, I don't fucking know. I don't have an answer. And it didn't last. Like, I played.
Yeah.
Good season. Yeah, we did well.
Nice.
We always did well.
So you knew what made you decision to go to the Marine Corps instead of going to school for baseball? You mean you would have got a full ride easily?
I still would have had to do school.
That was what it was.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What'd your family say?
My mom was kind of like, well, I'm not paying for you to go to school. And my grades maybe have not been the greatest. So I don't think I was getting.
You made enough to play ball.
Yeah,
maybe. Are they greased it a little bit?
No, I was good enough, man. I got a diploma.
Yeah,
I got a diploma. I was a little concerned if it was going to be in there or not, but it was in there. I just didn't want to do school. And my grandpa,
I get that.
My grandpa had served, in the Army during Korean War era days.
Yeah, and
it was just a line of service. I always felt compelled. He was a volunteer firefighter. Like, my town was huge into volunteer firefighters, like no paid firefighters. So that's what you rely on.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a pretty
selfish. And he did that for so long.
Yeah. And I knew everyone and anyone in that department. They all knew me. I lived across the street. Like, I lived there. And they brought me into the fold, when I was young. And it was just that level of service. Like, nothing against paid firefighters. It's just a different job. But a volunteer firefighter in a community or a town like that literally you work every other job and you fucking drop it because it's old school. The siren goes off and then everyone comes running.
Yeah.
And you don't get paid. You don't get gas money. You don't get this. You don't get that. And there's legitimate things happening, like car crashes and house fires and boat rescues.
Yeah, I was just up there. It's an old area, man.
Yeah.
Those houses are old.
They are. But it's good people. It's like good bones, like good, just solid humans. And so I just always had to draw it to serve. And it was going to be Army, like follow his footsteps. No reason why other than I guess I'll just go in the Army.
Yeah.
And then I met this old man, probably about my grandpa's age because he was in the Korean War.
Yeah.
Sat down and did some talking and not talking much, but I knew a little bit of his history. Again, not much. And he had a bunch of Purple Hearts, like more than 2 or 3 or 4 probably. He had been shot in the shin, and he had shrapnel all up his body, his shoulder, his back, his calves. Dude was fucked up. And I had the story at one point, and it's kind of faded out of my brain, unfortunately. And he didn't do any convincing. He just talked.
Yeah.
And the way that he had talked, and he had this picture above their fireplace. And I don't remember what it was, but at one point, he never told me, but at one point, I think it was his wife, had mentioned, said, hey, you realize he's kind of talked to you more than he's talked to his own kids. And I was like, oh, I didn't know how to take it. And I'm 17, and he just knew I was thinking about going in the military. And I had found out that it was a picture that he had cut out with his fucking K-bar from Korea and somehow stuffed it in a rucksack or whatever and brought it home. And it was now, hanging above their mantel place. And, he didn't have any crazy stories. He wasn't trying to convince me. It just, that instilled something in me where I was like, man, maybe I'll go to the Marine Corps, like the hardest. Like, why not give that a whirl? If I'm going to do it, I'm going to run away from school. I might as well try something that's harder than I can do. So that's what I did.
That was kind of the same with me. I was like, I just want to do the hardest thing possible, which at the time, at the entry level, is Marine Corps recruit training.
Yeah.
That's the hardest.
Entry level, that's what it is.
That's what it is, yeah. And back then, I didn't really know about anything else other than just that. When did you decide to join? Was it post 9/11 that you decided, or before?
This would have been, terrible. 2000?
It had to have been 2000.
It was 2000.
Yeah, because you're 1 year behind me.
Correct.
Yeah. Damn. So where were you in September 11th?
Boot camp.
No shit. Yeah. I'm sure we've talked about this. Yeah. We're getting old. We're forgetting each other's stories.
Oh.
That's good. That's why we do podcasts. Record it. That had to have been wild.
It's definitely weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was at my first duty station.
That's right, because you would have been.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see anything. I never saw anything on TV.
What did they tell you?
Everyone else, every other platoon that was there saw everything on TV. Not us.
Why? They were just like, no, you're trying.
I don't know. I mean, you just follow suit, man. You don't ask questions.
Yeah,
you have
of course.
no clue reasoning why, but coming to find out, you hear little squabblers of people and little talks somewhere in the
scuttlebutt, if you will. Yeah.
Like, oh, we saw this on TV. I'm like, TV? I didn't see no damn TV, But it was.
What did they tell you?
They just brought us in the, oh, Jesus.
Quarterdeck?
Yeah, whatever the quad or whatever those things are in the middle of the barracks.
Oh, outside.
Yeah. Outside, and it was like the first time
it was
saw.
It was the smoke pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where that was, where the pit was.
Totally different demeanor, though.
Yeah, I don't think that they have those anymore.
Sand pits? They must.
I don't know, man. I doubt it.
Maybe they got toys in the sand pit.
Yeah.
It's real nice and easy.
That's where they make sandcastles now. It's Zen. It's the recruit Zen time. I'm just kidding, but guys, drop a comment if there's still sand pits, please. Hopefully there are.
I hope so.
Yeah. So they talk you in there and just, what do they say?
They talked to us. To me, it was like foreign. I'm like, they're like, a plane crash into the Twin Towers. I'm looking around. I'm like, what the fuck are the Twin Towers? I don't know. It's nothing I ever learned about. Nothing I ever saw.
You're from New York.
I've never even been to the city, man.
That's awesome.
I've never even been to New York City. So, I mean, for me, I just didn't have a perspective or a clue of what Twin Towers were, like what this meant. They didn't have a death toll. They didn't show us videos.
Yeah.
So it was just someone talking that, hey.
Did they tell you it was a terrorist attack, or they just said it was planes flew into the towers?
I don't know. I can't remember.
No.
But it was like serious, it was like brass on the collar that you never see,
Oh, so like it wasn't just drill instructors coming out there giving you
the symbols you haven't learned yet, but it's something important,
You're like, I don't know what that is, but
I'm trying to remember in my little book, like, oh, what was that rank? Like, am I gonna get tested? But he was up there talking to us, and then they just separated us and went back to our stuff and just kept training.
So far as nothing really changed.
No. Like, I don't even think the way they treated us really changed. It was just, we just kept fucking moving
forward.
Just kept moving.
When did it really hit that it was like, oh, the entire Marine Corps is changing, the world's changing?
I don't know if it did. Like, to be honest, right? So I walked.
See, like for me,
I walked into it.
It changed. There was a
because you were on both sides.
Yeah.
Like you were out of a boot camp or a training structure. Yeah. You were at a duty station.
It went from essentially peacetime to very real, very fast.
Yeah, for me, it was just always, I guess, like that.
I mean, I guess you went to SOI and they were already mentally planning.
Yeah, by that point, it had been maybe three months, since then. into SOI. So I wouldn't have known if it did
So
change.
3 months.
I just walked into it.
In 3 months, I'm pretty sure that you had already invaded Afghanistan.
They walked in October.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were already there. Plus I think it was 5th Special Forces Group. I think so. Anyways.
Yeah. I didn't notice a change.
Yeah.
I didn't have a perspective to notice a change.
I'm sure there had to have been a change in SOI immediately, just
sure.
level of intensity alone.
For sure. But I walked in.
It was just what it was.
On T-Day 1, and it had already happened, you know, so I didn't know what I was walking into. We just did it.
Yeah. So you did that, and then Mortarman.
Went 3-8, Mortarman. I was just down in Florida.
Yeah.
And I just ran into a guy at a restaurant we walked into, and he kind of just said something to me and looked at me, and he was an old third guy.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you recognize you?
I don't have a clue, man. I had like a T-shirt on.
If I ran into anybody from 22 years ago, I wouldn't recognize anyone.
He didn't know me, but he was just like, hey, what's up? Like,
to owe you money?
what's going on? He's like, you in the military? I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. I'm like, why are you asking me this shit? You know, but thankfully he kind of did. You know, it ended up coming to find out, like, he knew he was over at 3rd, you know, and a friend of mine had gotten killed, and it was like this weird interaction. Like, why would you ever even say this to me? Where would this ever even come from? But then we were able to draw some sort of correlation, a timeline, and someone that we knew, and it was kind of thankful. I was like, all right, I guess sometimes you don't reach out or just ask a question, you just never know. And for me, I didn't gain anything like out of it as far as nothing learned or whatever, but it was just kind of nice, you know, being able to meet someone that was literally like, you know, deployed with him at the time, you know, on that deployment, you know, not on that position, but knew of him. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. The world works weird ways. Yeah,
man, it does, for sure. Anyways, so you went there, and then
3-8 for, I don't know, 3-4 years, something like that, and then went up to Quantico.
You went to Iraq before then, though?
Yeah, it was Okinawa, and then Haiti, and then...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You were in the same unit as Tyler Boone.
I know. He was my boot.
Small world, dude.
He was my little man.
If you guys don't remember, Tyler is one of my business partners as well, and is my jiu-jitsu coach. Helps out with the Agoge as well. He's in the fold. But what a small world, dude.
I remember when you first told me, you're like, hey, do you remember a guy named Tyler or Boone? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. Like, I definitely remember him. How do you even know him, you know?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, he's actually my black belt instructor.
Yeah. He's a freaking ninja now. He is getting his ACL repaired today.
Oh, dude. I don't envy him right now at all.
No, he's probably high as a kite, though.
I hope so.
He's already in recovery.
Good.
Yeah, he's in recovery.
Keep clicking that button, buddy.
Yeah, just keep clicking.
Keep clicking that button.
See you tomorrow, bud. Break a leg. I told him this morning, I said, hey, good luck, break a leg. And he's like, you should probably be telling that to the surgeon. I said, walk into the doctor's office or whatever, the surgical office, hand the doctor a monster and be like, you're going to need this.
Get to work, buddy.
Get to work. Yeah, man, it's shitty. Getting old and staying hard is hard.
That's why I try not to get old.
Yeah. Anyways.
Best I can.
So, and then you took selection.
Yeah.
You were the first ITC class?
Second ITC
class.
Second. And it was...
That's a kick in the dick, isn't it?
Yeah. We actually had I say a lot of guys. I mean, we had 3 guys from just the office that I was working in.
In Quantico?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I won't name them, but I mean, like,
there
was 3 of us that worked in the office together. And I actually almost had a chance to get pulled. Thankfully, I didn't, because things went the way they did, right? I actually had a chance to get pulled with 3rd when they first had stood up 3rd.
I remember
it was the FMTU.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. And you passed, right?
No.
You didn't pass?
So out of all the greatness that, you know, like MARSOC at the time, you know, was FMTU, like whatever that section they were calling themselves. I think it was FMTU,
yeah.
Before it was 3rd. Out of all this big superpower that they were and had, supposedly, like I hadn't been on station for 2 years. And I was at the office. I was teaching small arms weapons instructor school. I mean, I was building all these courses like foreign weapons, HRP, HRT. like we were doing everything. I was building all the rifle courses for the new age, like shooting courses and everything.
Yep.
And our
Which benefited us at the when he came to our team, benefited us very nice.
Yeah. And we had a building of all of us.
Yeah.
And it was like the building they came in. It was our building and then the sniper instructors that were right next to us. We were all co-located. And they were like, all right, we need some fucking people. I'm like, for what? Like, what's going on? You know, and then they tried taking the whole office. You know, they're like, oh, you can't do that. You can't take everybody. So then they tried picking a select, bunch of us. And then big old Marine Corps came down and was like, well, he hasn't been on station for 2 years, so you can't take him just yet. He can't transfer because he hasn't had his 2 years. I'm like, what the fuck, man? This is this cool guy organization that has all this power.
I'm surprised they allowed that to happen. Because they needed people so bad. I'm surprised they didn't just like pull the trump card out and be like, no, he's going to special operations.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
They took some guys, but they had been there, longer.
Yeah.
But again, it's for the benefit. I ended up getting
100%. You would have gotten no.
It would have been a totally different path.
Totally different path, and not the path that you wanted to go.
No.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'm stuck here. I guess the option's not going to come around. And then I actually had.
At this point, did you meet Hannah yet?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you guys had already met.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. Because that would have been an interesting thing if you would have went to FMTU and never met her.
It would never happen.
Yeah.
No,
that would have sucked.
we were already together. I don't even think she knew about that part because really I didn't even know what it involved.
No, right.
It was like, hey, go do this next thing, and but I didn't get it. Like they didn't select it.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess I'll just sit here, ride my time out, and we'll figure out what's going to happen next. And then I got orders back to like 1-6 or something like that. And dude, let me tell you, man, being up in Quantico, like I have no clue what it's like now, but the leash that I was given, I didn't have a leash. I was given.
I remember all this. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I shot more than I've ever shot, and probably people will ever even dream of shooting in their fucking life. I mean, it was ridiculous. The organizations,
this is why you can hit a boar running full steam at 200 yards with a shotgun, right?
Full 30-30 lever.
Yeah. Which really just happened. Just literally just happened.
That one was a deer.
It was a deer. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Still, that's a hell of a shot.
I was impressed myself, to be honest. It's kind of one of those ones where you're like, oh, yeah, I meant to do that. In the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I owned up to it. Yeah, but I had orders, man. And I was like, dude, I don't want to deal with 18-year-old kids again. I had advanced in my mind in what I was doing.
Of course,
I was dealing with,
of course.
I mean, I was dealing with world leaders, figureheads, agencies, color groups. Like I was traveling the U.S., going to other courses. I'm like, you want me to deal with 18-year-old kids again and get in trouble because they got, a DUI out in town when I was sleeping in my house? Yeah. I was like, fuck no, man. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And I remember the kid, at the little admin office, he's like, you have to do it. Like, what do you mean you can't do it? You're not doing it.
I remember this. You just straight up denied. You said no.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, bro, like, I'm not doing it.
And you were a sergeant at the time, right?
Yeah.
He's fucking sergeant. Big Sarge walks in there. Nah, bro, I'm not going. You can't make me.
And it wasn't even like a level of cockiness or like that I thought I was better than everybody. Yeah. The thought of going back there, I was like, no. Like anything visceral in me was like, I do not want to fucking do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to clean up after 18-year-old kids. I was beginning to be a part of educated, capable, like intelligent, and like hardworking people.
So this is something that you bring up a lot, and especially, we got started. We cut our teeth in the training business, really getting guys ready for the military because that's who was asking, right? Yeah. I remember we were overwhelmed with like messages of people wanting to prep for the military. And, this was what, 17?
17, I believe.
Yeah. And one of the big things that you always hit, like more so than me, was telling these kids that it's their career. Yeah. Like, yes, you're in the military, but that career is yours. You need to dictate your path. Otherwise they're just going to take advantage of you and do whatever they want to do.
The machine's going to keep going. It has to.
Yeah. And that was something that you always have, and still to this date, like bang the drum for these young guys. Like, listen, it is your career, especially with like talking to the recruiters and this and that. Like, well, the recruiter said that I have to do this. Your life, your career.
There's periods of time, obviously, right, where it's about your platoon or your team or your squad or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Like that's working towards a collective objective for a mission or whatever it may be, or even a training exercise. Like you got to work collectively, but individually, if you want to get promoted, if you want to make more money, if you want to go to better schools, if you want to advance your career into a different direction, your team's not going to, you're not going to go as a team. Like you're not going to go as a platoon or a squad. It's going to be you either going or not. And the reason that you may be not going is because you failed to take care of yourself.
Yep.
And that's where I felt I was, and I always look back on it, and I look to see where all those guys went. All of them excelled their career. Not all went to MARSOC, but like in other elements of like regular Marine Corps, dude, those guys all went to like high places and very, very good places. It was an elevator, and I was so thankful to be in that spot, and be a part of like brought to that awareness, of where things can go. They can go up, they will go up, but
that's a choice. You're making an intentional choice for that to happen.
For sure. And it's work, like being at that like extra level of responsibility. And because I was given all the ammo and I was traveling, like it didn't come easy. They just didn't, let me do it forever. I mean, you had to put a lot of work into it. You had to be educated and smart and determined. Anyways, so I just didn't want to do it. So I denied them.
What happened?
So I denied the first ones.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, you have to sign this here and deny this. And I was like, all right. Cool.
They give you, as what is like a page 11 entry that you denied?
First one, I believe, was a page 11 entry. And then I had to go talk to the CO and the sergeant major, and they're all just like, you do what you're told, young man, like. And I almost didn't even know what to think about it because I was wondering, I'm like, well, shit, what's going to happen? Like, I just don't want to do that. I don't know.
Am I getting kicked out? Like, what's going on?
I didn't have an idea of what the thing was going to be, but I just knew that I didn't want to do that.
And at this time, we're in active engagement in two different countries.
This would have been, if my memory serves me correct, early 2007.
I was going to say 06, but 06, 07.
Yeah, if my memory serves me correct, it's in that time frame.
Yeah.
Right? So a short amount of time goes by.
Yeah.
They give me orders again.
To where?
Another victory.
Another victory
unit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, damn. I kind of got away with the first one. Not knowing what was going to happen or where I was going. I'm like, skated that one. Got another pair. And he's like, dude, you can't, like, you're going to get an RE3 Oscar code.
Which is basically like once you hit your EAS, you're done.
Yeah. No more rank. No more telling yourself where you're going to go. No more promotions. Like no more schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're basically just riding the pine for the rest of your time.
Until you hit your EAS.
Yeah. Like you're never going to go anywhere. You're never going to do anything. You're never going to advance. You're never going to this. And I just was like, cool. All right. Sign me up. Because I just know I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is the right course of action for anybody else, but at the time, so I signed the papers and I wasn't sure what was going on. And then the office that I was working in was the senior gunner in the Marine Corps, like Chief Warrant Officer 5. Like dude's got the most pull anywhere.
Yeah.
And there was another guy that was there that was a Chief Warrant Officer 5 that was like the senior range officer in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And they were, our office and them, and then all the gunners, the high gunners, they were collectively trying to figure something out of what to do with reserve units. So reserve units don't have a gunner. So they don't have like that leading expert to walk around the battalion and, continuously monitor, teach, and educate and assess all the different companies that are in a battalion. Like reserves don't have that. At the time, at least they didn't have that.
Yeah.
And it was apparently a huge deficiency because unfortunately a lot of those guys were getting smoked. And some of it was coming down to just inefficiency and uneducation on the ability and capability to utilize weapon systems.
Yeah.
And so they were conjuring up this plan, and the plan came to action quick. And they were like, okay, the senior range officer of the 5, they were like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use you as a test pilot, and I want you to find 3 guys out of this office because we were the senior weapons instructors in the whole Marine Corps. And they're like, I need you to find 3 guys, and I want you guys to go on a deployment with a reserve unit and figure it out, like build what it should look like. And for me, I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm itching for a deployment, even though I was, like with hand at the time, like we had no kids. And I fucking was like, yep, let's go.
Wow. So you went to Iraq with them?
Yeah. Yeah. Like we had no plan of what we were doing other than like, we were going to monitor, assess, teach, and just.
I don't remember. You went to Al Anbar province?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haditha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Habbaniya, all that kind of surrounding area out there. So we just went and like
during the surge, right?
We found this reserve unit, and
that was wild, wasn't it?
They were like, yeah, Louisiana, Texas, I believe. Some of them were from. They were from all over the place. I don't even remember the unit. It was like two. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Kind of, I want to say it didn't matter, but it really didn't. I was just I was an entity that was going to be involved in like monitor training. So I went down to Lejeune, ran some test stuff with them, tried to figure out what the hell we were doing. We were trying to assess them on weapon systems and everything, and sorry guys, but it was a clusterfuck. Like it was so bad in my eyes. That veil got unleashed, and I felt bad for him, man. I saw a different side.
I mean, you can't be the level of proficiency of a active duty Victor unit as a reserve. I think this is one of the reasons why the Marine Corps tries. I mean, if you've ever gotten out of the Marine Corps, you know, man, they push hard to try to get active guys in the reserve.
Yeah, together.
They're like they sell that like crazy, bro. Crazy.
People to be able to invoke expertise and knowledge and time. So, anyways, we did that. Went into country, and we were like basically vagabonds. We just hitched a ride with the next convoy that was going to the next COP or FOB or whatever, and we would just cruise there for a period of time. And
nomad warfighters.
We would assess their position, and all their OPs and all their procedures, all their weapon systems. We'd go around, looking at all our weapon systems on post, and then we'd try and take them out, build like a little, field expedient range out there and get these guys shooting. We had a ridiculous amount of assets that we could bring with us. So we would pull them from this one area, and we'd be like bringing in hundreds of like AT4s, like thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of rounds of all these different weapon systems. And we would just go shoot with these guys. And then if they go on patrol, we either went or we didn't. It was up to us because we didn't exist in their organization, but we could essentially do whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we just cruised for like, I don't know, 7-8 months.
Did the three of you guys stay together the whole time? Or did you guys go to different locations?
No, we stayed together the whole time.
Yeah.
If the one officer broke off, he would take one of us.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we always
you had internal backup in case.
At least I knew that I had minimum of one, usually two men that, no offense to these other guys, but I just didn't know them. I didn't train with them. I didn't know them, and we had our backs. And, And then I got the RE3 Oscar code erased from my jacket book.
On that deployment?
I think it was before or after. I can't remember, but I knew it was when I was trying to put in papers for.
That was that the penance that you had to do? You're like, okay, I'm going to go do this deployment with these guys.
No, that was totally volunteer.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have to. I could have just sat there and got out at my EAS, and they would have kicked me out, and I would have just been done.
Oh, what a miserable end.
That would have been terrible.
I guess it's always a miserable ending.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
There's no happy ending.
There's no happy ending. We've talked about that in the past.
There is no happy ending.
No, there's no happy ending, finish line. There's no parade. You just fizzle out. Yeah. Anyway, so you did that deployment, came back?
Yeah, came back, worked at TBS? No, OCS, Officer Candidate School.
Oh, that's right. So you didn't double hat. You did that afterwards when you came back.
Yeah, I was a chief instructor over there, and then I came back and I had two guys that knew me, and the rest of the office was like, "Who the fuck are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I used to be the chief instructor here, and I just came back from deployment."
Isn't that how fast that happens in the Marine Corps? They're like, "Who the fuck are you?" It's like, I built this shit, man.
Yeah, I literally, like, if you look in the notes, my name is one of the.
They don't give a shit.
Anyways, whatever. And they're like, "Well, we don't have boat space for you." I'm like, "Okay, well, where do I go?" And they're like, "Oh, you're going to go to TBS." So they took me, one other guy, and then two of the guys that were sniper instructors, and they put us over at TBS, and it was bad.
You have, I don't know if you want to talk about it. You have a funny TBS story.
I do?
Yeah.
Want to enlighten me?
Hannah.
About the bag? Oh, no.
No?
No.
Josh is a real man. I'll leave it at that.
We're gonna shelve that one under the books.
I like that story, though.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Maybe it's kept right here for now.
Sorry, guys. So how long were you there?
Just the summer. It was like it was the big push for the summer for when all the candidates come in because they're not like officers yet. You know, it's their summer program. Did that, came back, and then had a spot at the office, and came back, and it was this thing like, hey, there's this selection, you know, and I was like, oh, for what? And I found out what it was, and I was like, oh shit, like that's kind of those group of guys that were trying to pick everyone earlier.
Yeah.
But now there's a process. Like now you got to do fucking work, and you got to be prepared, and you got to be this, and you got to be that. And
yeah, so for those that don't know, early days FMTU, you basically they were just picking 03, I guess 0311s and other some particular MOSs.
Yeah, I think they tried to dabble in like top level or subject matter experts from different fields.
To get them in that unit, and essentially there was no really process of selection other than just your MOS and if you were right select. But then, you know, ANS was created, and that's when it all changed, and you had to go get selected.
Yeah, so we had three of our guys' office was actually prepping, and my OIC, thankfully, he was about to prep as well. He was in a different time period as far as like when he could leave.
Really? So a bunch of people started getting
So it was another enlisted guy who
getting a little hungry.
Yeah. And then it was my OIC. And to be quite honest, if I didn't have him trying to do the same thing, I don't know if I would have been afforded the amount of time that I was to train.
Okay.
I mean, part of it was afforded, and then the other part was like me doing the work. But
speaking of training, I don't know about you, but I did not train the way that I should have.
I thought I did.
I thought I did too. But now knowing what I know now, I'm like, I would have done this way smarter.
Yeah. It was ruck a lot.
Yeah, it was just like wake up, punch myself in the dick, ruck harder, go.
I was doing what was I doing? I was doing CrossFit in the morning.
Yeah.
So like CrossFit.
I mean, we both made it, so there's something, but there's a smarter way.
Yeah.
There's a smarter way to do it.
CrossFit something, and then like a gym bro session in the afternoon, and then a ruck session 3 to 4 times a week. I was like rucking. And by rucking, I mean
swimming.
Like running. Like running. Not not proper, but running.
So you anyways, you got your shot?
Yeah. Got my shot. Got in.
Selection was good. You liked it?
That was a blast. Fuck no. It's one of those things, to be quite honest.
It's freaking horrible, dude.
It's bad.
My lawyer's calling me. I can't take a lawyer call on the podcast.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, buddy.
I don't remember anything being obsessively hard. Not saying it was easy. The whole thing was just hard. So I don't, for me personally, I don't have a hierarchy on a scale of what piece of the pie was more difficult than the other. Across the board, there was difficulties, and they all had their own.
Dude, I'll go to my grave saying that I was pissed because I was a staff sergeant, and I was coming from. So I was at 2nd Force, went to 3rd Recon, came back to 2nd Force, but it was essentially 2nd Raider Battalion at this point. And they're like, "Oh, by the way, you have to go through selection." I'm like, motherfuckers, how many more selection processes do I have to go through? One more. Always one more. There's always another one.
Selection's continuous.
Selection's continuous. That's right. So, but honestly, when I went through, I was like, dude, I'm so glad that I went through because I saw the product that they were getting, and no offense to some of the other recon guys that were there. There were some young recon guys in my selection course that didn't get selected. And from my point of view, they shouldn't have been selected. You know, they weren't all there yet. And that could have been just because they were young, you know what I mean? But I saw the quality I saw who got weeded out at selection, and I saw who made it, which was a very small, I don't know about your course.
Oh, dude, it was tiny.
Tiny, bro.
I try and describe it to people all the time. People are like, well, how many people are in your class? I'm like, you have to understand the process it takes to even get to a class.
Yeah. Like you're going to get, there's washes out before you even get to selection. Anyways, once I saw that, I was like, oh, this is a very, very good product. And then, later on in my career, when I went and cadreed for selection, I was like, this is fucking amazing, bro.
So it gave you like a respect for the process.
100%, man. So once I came out of selection, I was like, dude, this is, now granted I didn't have to go through ITC. Yeah. But I think at this point they were taking guys like myself and making us instructors at ITC.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
From best I recollect, yes.
Yeah. So
you think you would have had that perspective if you never would have went through?
No.
Or you think you would have looked at it and been like, they don't have it because they haven't been through what I've been through.
Yeah, I would have had
you know
a
what I mean? Like the lens might have been.
Yeah, I would have had a different perspective, and for sure. And I'm so very thankful that I did go through selection, and I got hammered on the board too by Sergeant Major Tom. I'm like, dude, we know each other. We're boys. You were my sergeant major at 3rd, and he still didn't give a shit. He just like hammered the shit. I don't know if he did it on purpose or whatnot, but he was just like all kinds of personal questions, and I was like, him and I got into it, but whatever.
I only had one mess up, but I think we'll leave that out of that. I think we'll also leave that out.
Speaking of not a mess up, but
no, it's not a mess up.
You there's a particular event in selection, and you came in second.
Yep.
To that event.
Yep.
Second best.
Second best is first worst.
And there was a young man who beat you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mr. Widowitz.
Mr. Woodwoods.
Dude crushed me.
He crushed you.
Fucking beat me. He crushed me.
Thankfully,
there was only one in front of me, but he definitely crushed me.
Yeah. He and we lost him in Panorak.
Yep.
Panorak. Young man is a goddamn hero. If you don't know who he is, you can look him up. But
Silver Star.
Yeah. Guy's a freaking is a war, like that's a true war hero right there.
Yeah, man. Kid was an animal.
Yeah.
I went all through ITC with him.
And he was smaller than you.
Skinnier. He was tall.
Yeah, he was tall,
tall, like lanky, but
yeah.
but strong. Like he was like built, not like muscularly, physically built, but just whatever was on his body was like muscle. And he was.
Did you know that he beat you, or did you find out afterwards?
I found out because there was only one other person at the end line, at the finish line,
and that was him.
It was him.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is this? Because I mean, that's one thing I did well. Running,
yeah,
barefoot, like shoes and shorts. That is not my style. But you want to put a load on my back, I'm like a Clydesdale. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm going to keep going. And that was like the one thing I was really prepping for. And when someone beat me, I was like, damn. Like, I mean, I knew there was a trail.
And he was young.
Me. I want to say 19.
Shit.
Yeah. I want to say 19. So.
Well, hey, if you're going to get beat by somebody, that's definitely a dude to get beat by. And then, you essentially landed right on my team.
Yeah, they took 7 of us, sent them to second.
Yeah,
and then everyone else went to third and first.
We had. For those of you who don't know, we were one of the Afghan motorcycle gangs. One of the only. Yeah, that was a hell of an era, man. Riding around on motorcycles with 314 man surrogate army, and
a lot.
A lot.
I mean, if you count the ones that were like doubled and tripled up and on the handlebars, then our numbers might be
right,
a little conflated. But actual physical bikes I think it was 192 or 197 or something like that.
Over the whole district.
Yeah, the bikes themselves, and then however many additional monkeys were jumping on.
And you ran that. That was essentially the training aspect of it was all yours.
Yeah. Training.
And,
loosely.
There's a video.
There's a certain very element of that training.
Do you remember the video of us on the range, and they're shooting AKs, and Josh has got his hand on his pistol because he's like these motherfuckers, man.
Oh man, it was like one of the first iterations, and they're all there's one kid shaking all over the place, and this other guy's loose.
Yeah,
and there was a couple squirrels that I just wasn't getting a good vibe off of, man. And
yeah,
how it is out there. Like I'm not sitting there in for it to ready waiting.
No.
I'm instructing. I had a pistol on my hip, and I don't think my hand came off that pistol almost the entire iteration for a couple of them.
One of those fuck around and find out moments.
Dude, it happens. I mean,
it's happened.
Unfortunately, know this too well.
Yeah, it's happened
in
to
every
other teams.
organizations. It has happened.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but it can. And I was like, not on my watch. Not to the best ability I can do it.
Yeah, right. But that was a rad. I mean, for me, that was I guess both of us, that was our last deployment. It wasn't supposed to be your last deployment. But, dude, I remember, talking to some of our other friends. I was like, man, this is definitely – that team was a tight team.
Old.
Yeah, we were old. We were a very senior team.
Old for,
for that
for the teams,
job.
For the most part, we were.
Yeah, we were a very old team. And man, what a hell of a team to go out on. I mean, there's nothing like riding your motorcycle off of the back of a Chinook at night into some village with a bunch of indige.
I cannot describe that to anybody.
No.
People have asked because they've seen a picture, right? They're like, oh, what's this picture? And then I go into this thought process of trying to describe it, and I just can't.
It's hard. Shit that they make.
Dark of night when you're sitting on a fucking motorcycle waiting for that ramp to drop, and then it finally does, and you're like, okay.
You got guns and grenades all strapped to you, and
fucking AT4s and laws and everything, like just ready to go. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I just hope the bike starts.
Because you and Nick drove those shitty ass Parwazes.
Hey, it got me everywhere I needed to go.
That's what he said too, man. And I drove the Premiers. Yep. I want one of those damn things.
Do you? It's like 125 cc's.
I would cruise around this town in one of those things with the saddlebags and everything.
You'd be getting run off the road by half the people that live here. They'd be like, oh, fuck. And they'd be like siding you off.
I still want one. Put Dimitri on that thing.
I found the vest. Remember that vest? The cuts that we had?
Yeah,
I found one at my house the other day.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome. But yeah, man, that was God dang, what a freaking time, man. Carrying around buttloads of cash and guns and running around on motorcycles.
I can't describe it. And half the stuff I'm like, maybe I
remember we shouldn't describe it.
Shouldn't describe or can't describe, but I mean in reality it was a beautiful, for lack of better words, man, it really was a beautiful fucking trip
ending
to do and to go out on.
Yeah, that was it's kind of like
we all came home, thankfully.
Yeah.
Right? At that time we all came home.
Yeah.
We were all healthy, whole.
Which is amazing considering some of the shit that we did.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so for it to be able to end it on a note like that, in my perspective, is great.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and you know, as I've gotten older, I've you know, every military unit, every team has military drama and bullshit, you know, that you have to deal with. The big green monster, you know, continues. The big green weenie, if you will, continues to plow through young men. And to this day, it's still plowing.
Oh yes.
Yeah. But as you get older, you know, you kind of forget a lot of that stuff, and you just kind of remember the good things, which is a good thing.
You can, if you so choose.
Yeah. Yeah. I've chosen
perspective. You have to.
I've chosen to, and I tell you,
have, but you know, some folks, and for a period of time, you probably didn't.
No, I didn't. Yeah. But now I tell young guys, I'm like, dude, it'll be one of the coolest things you ever do. Just enjoy it. Yeah. Enjoy the shit out of it, man. Don't worry about the bullshit. Just have fun. Have fun, because when that shit ends, it fucking ends, and you're never doing it again.
No.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have other rad stuff in life, and you should go, you know.
For sure. But for that thing, for what it is.
Yeah. Soak it up.
It ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Soak it up. But then, yeah, that was for me. I knew that was going to be my last one. And, so the fact that we made it out alive, because there was at one point, I remember I was like, oh, this is how we die.
Well, there's many points.
Well, there's one particular one when we went down south.
Oh, that one. Yes.
Yeah. I was like, this is stupid.
Well, that was right at the end. I think that's why it sticks out so much.
Yeah.
One in the beginning when I got fucking blown off a motorcycle. Riding over a bridge.
Yeah.
Like that, let me tell you what, like being blown up in a vehicle, that sucks. Being kicked off a motorcycle, that sucks as well. Like fucking throwing like 40 feet in the air, you know, like just.
I was expecting that to happen at the last one, because we knew that there were IDs there. Anyways, we were pushing south, and it was basically like the hot gates. There was this little dirt path, and then a river, and then a mountain.
A raging river.
A raging river.
Not a trickling one, a raging river. Like you go in that, you're done.
You're gone. Yeah, and we're wearing body armor and all kinds of shit. Yeah,
you're done.
And anyways, there's a little dirt path, and they had said there's IEDs on that path. So like, oh well, so our bright idea is like, well, we'll just ride our motorcycles. We're light.
Yeah,
we're light, which we did.
We'll try and clear them first.
Yeah,
which we started to. We started to do dog first, and then EUD,
we just blew through.
The other side
started shooting.
Pushed.
Yeah. Well, that, and then we started.
They were our coverage.
Yeah, and then we started
our coverage was leaving.
Yeah.
And we either were sitting ducks, or we had to go at least be in the perspective view of where our coverage would have been.
When we started taking, it was a PKM fire immediately as we brushed the threshold.
As soon as that first bike
hit the
went
threshold,
over whatever threshold that they had deemed, which wasn't too far in front of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, anyway, so we pushed into it. Nobody got shot. I don't understand how that happened, because they had the high ground around us, and it was nuts.
They had all the ground.
Yeah.
We were pinholed to probably a 4 foot wide area.
It was like this table, dude.
It was a massive cliff on one side and the raging river on the other. There's nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. Anyways, we made it to that first house, and then our fucking buddy with his dumbass scar right next to me.
I was on the rooftop.
I never remember. We got a good picture of you up there, by the way.
Yep.
But I was down there on that wall with him, and he's shooting that scar next to me, and I'm shooting a suppressed M110 SAS. And I stopped shooting. We're in the middle of a gunfight. I stopped shooting. I look at him and I'm like, would you get the fuck away from me?
That's when you know that the annoyance of that thing is dude. Worse than what's going
on.
on.
My beard was like blowing by, you know. I'm like, would you get the fuck away from me? That loud ass thing. He's laughing. And then we pushed even further south. This is where Josh saved me and Jake.
Some of us pushed. There was, I think,
a handful of us pushed south.
Third of us, maybe somewhere in there, roughly.
It was literally a handful.
Yeah.
And then some endage.
Kind of.
Who bailed.
Yeah, I was going to say kind of. They were sticking around for a little bit, and once they realized shit was getting wrong, there's a compound that the rest of you guys are in.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back there.
I forget, they were standing right there, and then shots started going off. So I'm shooting this way. I'm hiding behind a boulder this way. Next thing I'm getting shot at from up on the mountain, like behind, like right at me. I don't even, and then one of our other friends goes, right, how did he get that, what the hell, the Carl Gustav?
Oh, Carl G.
How did he get it, like, loaded and unmounted so fast?
Magic. Like, that's all I can think of. It's magic.
Literally, dude, I heard one shot, and then next thing I heard, he was like, rocket. I was like, holy shit. And then we got pinned down, and Jake and I had to run behind this mountain. And next thing I know, I mean, literally within 2 seconds, Josh was firing handheld 60s into the mountain.
By myself.
By yourself. You were just like lobbing freaking 60s. I was like, thanks, Josh.
Come to find out, I ended up working through some signal work, right? Like we were like triangulating some signals.
Because they were telling us exactly where they were.
I had the radio. So I was trying to do call for fire. I was trying to control the 81's up on top.
Which, yeah.
I was trying to control them.
We'll leave that alone. The ones that were above the clouds.
Yeah. I had done quite extensive. I was a mortarman in the past.
Yeah.
And then I had gone to like advanced mortar leader school. And then I had.
You taught all of us.
Yeah.
You taught me how to do mortars.
And I taught some other stuff. And somewhere in my brain, math, numbers, things like that work out. You know, so I was going off of the triangulation that we were pinging from our different mechanisms. And then the radio chatter. And then the known position where they were, our known position where we were, my perspective, direction, and distance to the target.
Well, you did all that very fast.
Yeah, it was kind of subconscious, but I was trying to figure that so they could drop, and I could worry about shooting. I didn't want to be sitting there shooting a 60. I'd rather be shooting, the M110 SAS, which I did for a little bit. But
and then we got up there, and it was the same thing. They were like, they're shooting 2 feet to the right. I was like, sweet. Let me adjust here.
Course direct.
Anyways, and we killed 4 of those guys. Yeah, and then made it back, and then made it back. Almost, got done with that. Almost to get eaten by a fucking dog.
And then dog almost ate us. Rounds are skipping off my feet, and I remember just wanting to be like, time out. Is there a timeout in this game? Because I'm fucking over it, man.
I'm over it, dude. This dog is literally like pulling at my pants on the bike. This massive dog, and then we were starting getting shot at, and it was like that weird dusk time. So it was like nods, not nods, light, not light.
I'm like pulling my feet off the pegs, like that's gonna matter.
Yeah.
I'm hearing the round skip off the ground, and I can almost see where we're trying to
the
go.
compound.
Like, can I just get there.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
I wasn't even upset. I wasn't even scared or upset. I just was like, dude, I just want to go back.
I'm over this.
Done.
The deployment's almost over. And that's what's crazy, man. It's always like the most dangerous. And we knew that, right? It was like always the most dangerous time of the deployment is right at the beginning and right at the end.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And we were right there. Anyways, we got through it. Now we have a story to tell. I don't think I've ever publicly even talked about that story. Maybe I have, maybe not, but
it can go deeper, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, I remember the aircraft. It was like I had my little air panel when I was behind that rock, and I had put my air panel out. They're like, "We don't see you. We approved the drop." Like, fuck no, you're not approved. We can't see your air panel. Are we approved to drop? No.
No. Like, please do not.
We're good. Thanks. We'll take it from here.
How do you not see the panel? It's the only thing of color out here. Everything else is,
brown.
But,
oh, man.
Perspective of air, man. I mean, they're looking at, a greater grid, grid space.
Approved to drop? No.
No.
Negative. Can go away.
I have no authority here, but no.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. I remember just laughing, going, oh, they can't be serious, right?
That's probably the most scared moment I was. I was like,
oh, my God.
I can handle what's over here because
Yeah.
I'll figure out how to shoot them. I'll figure out how to do what I need to do. But that guy up there,
No.
if he so chooses, that's very precision.
No.
And
Please don't. Yeah, let us handle it on our end. Anyways, like Josh said, we made it all back, and thank God, because we got a story to tell now. And, yeah, there it is. And that was it for me. I got back, and I did, I don't know, 4 or 5 surgeries. Within
a bunch.
4 or 5 surgeries in a matter of 6 months.
Your wrist, your hernia, right?
Yeah, wrist, umbilical hernia, some other things. Yeah. And then I was out, man. On to browner pastures. I thought it was going to be greener.
Grass is always greener on the other side until you realize it's turf.
It's just turf. Yeah. Fuck. What is this? But that story, the rest of that story is all in Excommunicated Warrior. But Josh was going to continue, right?
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, you were in.
I still had contract, I had time left. And it was bump and gump to the next team, man.
Yeah.
Same team next time.
Same team next time, yeah.
Next time.
And then they blessed you with a seat to go because you didn't get a chance to go to any schools. So in ITP individual training phase, they blessed you with a jump school seat.
Yeah, like, dude, you want some more pay, man? You want to go jump? I'm like,
hell yeah. Go get
that. I'd rather kind of go to this other one, but I mean, if it's something I'm gonna have to knock out anyways, man, let's get it over with. It's 5 days. I'll be in there. I'll be out of there, and then I'll go to something that is actually going to advance me.
Yeah. In
my education and better benefit for the team. Because surely we're not probably fucking jumping into Afghanistan again or another country.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I don't think it's really happened since then, and it really hasn't happened the past 20-some years. There was a few people that got some jumps in.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me go to jump school. Like, cool. I'll do it just for the pay, but not for anything else. Like, it wasn't nothing I was gunning.
So how was your jump school experience, Josh?
It was glorious.
Yeah.
Beautiful Southern California.
Yeah.
Skies were wonderful and the palm trees were great. And then it wasn't so great.
How many days did you make it?
I think it was day 4.
Damn.
Day 4. Because day 5 was bag jumps. I didn't get there. I failed out.
You failed out, huh? Fucking Josh is a jump school washout.
Fucking made it 80% of the way and I was washed out. Didn't even get my book signed.
Fuck. So what happened?
I decided that jumping out of a plane correctly sounded too easy.
Yeah.
And I attempted to do it. However, I was not allowed to do it that way. So anyways, what happened was it was second or third jump of the day. I don't remember. I was one man, stick one, heaviest guy, it was one man. Our stick was first stick to go out.
Yeah.
And first jumps were fine. Nothing was a problem. And have you jumped down there?
That's why I went to free fall.
Okay. So
turbulence, Holmes.
Yeah. I've spoken to other people about that drop zone and they're like, oh yeah, I know that one.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
I know that one. I couldn't imagine what it feels like coming in from higher and then dropping into it.
As soon as you open your canopy, you're in turbulence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were in the zone where it gets opens for you.
Yeah.
And we were cutting laps. And
I've never done static line there.
You haven't?
No.
Okay.
Only free fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're cutting laps around the DZ. Now, I was not a jumper. I'm not a jump master, not a free fall instructor. But I know enough about running courses and running training evolutions to know when something might be going off.
When we're cutting squares.
Yeah, we're cutting squares, and I could feel the plane jostling, it's a FedEx truck with wings. And, I kind of looking at, the jump masters or whoever those guys are in there. And they're looking at each other. And finally we hit a pass and, fucking light goes on, stand up, shuffle up, whatever, hook in. And so we hook in, I'm one man. And the beautiful stars of life were aligned, appropriately. And just as I went to jump, we hit an air pocket. And it just so happened that as I was, the 1 foot on, 1 foot off, that last like quarter of a millisecond, like I stepped off. And as soon as I stepped off, man, hit an air pocket and it shot me up into the top of the plane. And I'm like, and this is from someone else telling me, because I don't remember shit.
Yeah.
Not about this part. Head bounces off the roof. And then because it's static line, there's a lot more cables. I had a cable of some sort wrapped around my head. And then I had another cable that was wrapped around my left leg. So thankfully the one around my head was a little more favorable.
It was your risers.
Yeah. Something.
You're actually, I think you're bagged, if I understand correctly, your bag deployed and your risers actually somehow got wrapped around your leg and then one around your neck.
Yeah. And the one around my head, thankfully, like I said, like loosened up a little bit more favorable.
You had a burn though, didn't you?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that's where I had, big bruising or hematomas or whatever the words are, and then I had severe nerve damage and all sorts of stuff right in that same area. So, but the one that was wrapped on my leg, it decided, thankfully, not to take the leg off, but it had enough tension on it. I did what I was supposed to do, which was leave the airplane, and the cable did what it was supposed to do, which was remain attached to the airplane, and broke the leg, cracked it, open femur fracture, bone was
out the back of your hamstring.
Out the back of the hamstring, and bone was 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches, somewhere in there. Out the back of my leg, which I found that out later. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a good old boy holding my reserve, and I thought I jumped right. I mean, I did. Went out the plane, and then I actually gained consciousness as my chute deployed, thankfully. I think that jolting, mechanism.
Did they ever check you for a concussion?
They asked me. They said, "Hey, do you remember anything?" And in my mind, I remembered everything. Yeah. Like, I wasn't lying. I legitimately,
at the time,
I perceived that I remembered everything, because I did remember being jolted back to life. That's what I remembered. But however, I did not remember the split time between lights going on for me to go off and me, holding on to that reserve, being deployed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was definitely knocked out. So it was open, and thankfully, man, for all of, training or brainwashing or whatever it is they do to us, like, I had a very strategic method of what was in my head of what I needed to do. So at least I retained that much. I'm holding reserve. First thing I did was look up the risers, make sure those things weren't twisted, because I wouldn't have been able to bicycle kick out of it.
It's amazing. It's amazing that your parachute, those things are damn near resilient, but it opened.
It opened. I'm quite thankful. I didn't have to pull the reserve. There was nothing parachute-wise, extra steps that I had to make, which to me is thankful, because if I would have had to do that stuff while being compromised, could it be done? Yeah, man, I'm sure someone's done it. I'm sure plenty of people have done it, but I don't want to have to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I knew something was wrong. Nothing was tangled. I said, okay, that measure's good. All right, it's deployed. I'm not going to be a human lawn dart. And let's start going to body checks. And I went to body checks. I started looking down. I'm looking around. I don't see anything. And then I got over here to the left leg. I was like, fuck, man. I just saw, just blood just fucking pumping out. It was just
did you try to move it at all?
At first I saw it, and it was just, radiating. It wasn't like, an artery where it was just screaming down, but it was enough I could watch it, and it was just, I could see the droplets moving closer to the earth. And I was like, fuck, that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That means it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I did a quick sweep, to the right side, checked that. Thankfully it was clear. Went back to left, and then I basically just took both my thumbs, because my first thought was femoral.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, fuck, if that thing's clipped, I'm like, travel time back down to earth, bleed out time doesn't work in my favor.
Yeah, I don't have any time. Yeah.
So let's pinch femoral, so double thumb, hardest point, most pressure I could grab, double thumb, to the inside of the femoral artery, wrap the rest of the fingers. Thankfully my hands are big, around my leg as much as possible, control the bleeding. And then I tried doing like a lift of it, like a shift, and it was like a fucking garbage bag full of jello, dude.
Oh,
it didn't feel right. That's when I was really like, holy shit, something's massively compromised.
Yeah.
I didn't know what, right? And then my brain actually was like, oh, traction. I have no clue how. It was not a thought process.
I remember this. Yeah, you were in the air yelling this.
I was in the air as I got closer. You know, there's that, the V you're going towards and circles. I'm trying to crab, so I'm like releasing my thumb to try and crab closer. Because in my mind, I'm like, hey, if I can drop closer to them, that's faster that they can get the help to me. And yeah, so I'm like yelling down. I'm like, traction, tourniquet, like medic. Like I'm just going through this rhetoric. I had no pain.
Your adrenaline was through the roof.
I'm not superhuman. It was definitely adrenaline was through the roof. Again, thankfully, I had this very tactile list that I was going through, like in sequential order. And then in my brain, I was like, dude, traction.
But that's training, right? Like your brain essentially your brain turns off, and it's just like you go on autopilot.
Oh, I was definitely on autopilot.
But if you don't train to that, there's no autopilot. Yeah.
So the high level of training.
Yeah.
But not just the training, like the adherence and the listening that I did, unfortunately, but thankfully paid off, for me to kind of come out of that. Otherwise, I've been panicking and freaking out. And if it was femoral or something else more, I wouldn't have pinched and I would have just panicked but yeah, I was just holding on to life, man. I was like, fuck, all I have to do, I just don't want to go out in air. Like that's the last thing I want to happen. Like I don't want to go out in air. If it's going to happen, if this is where the cards are, let me touch Earth again. Let me kiss Earth. Like I want to see my kids. Holy shit, my wife. And like those clicked in. Those did click in. Like for sure. I am human. I am human. Those clicked in, and then it came back to just I had this sense of I needed to just touch Earth. Not that I was willing to give up.
Just get to the ground.
But it was my next phase, right? It was my next phase line, right? I'm in air. I need to get to ground. I get to ground. I get medic. It was I need phase lines and I need to hit them. And so then I had to figure out how to land. So I said, all right, well, compromise left. That means I need to land right. Like this one's already blown out and it's done. If I land on it, I don't want to induce more damage that I can maybe control. So I landed right as best as possible. Come to find out, blew that whole right shoulder out. Like
which they didn't know for how long? Because they were so focused on your leg. We didn't know about the shoulder for like what, a month or two?
Yeah, maybe a month. Yeah, 3 weeks, something like that.
And who noticed it?
Petro,
because it was like hanging essentially.
Yeah, I was like, hey man, I got some tingling going on. I got some pain, and I'm kind of off a lot of the other meds. I mean, I'm still on meds because I was compromised. But he's like, all right, let's run some tests. He ran 2 tests. One was physical, and that was like holy shit. Let's try this one. It was another physical one, but I had to perform an action. And he's like, yeah, that's all he had to do. 2 things. So almost bled out in the ambulance. I was conscious when they reset and pulled traction, which from what we're taught, is the most painful part of the process, right?
Pulling that femur back in there.
And again, thankfully I was in shock. I didn't feel shit.
You didn't feel anything?
No, dude, no.
That's crazy.
No.
I would have passed out.
Thankfully, I was riding that high. I remember because there was, and I don't know. I mean, I know enough SEALs, but I can never keep their full pipeline of the way they do everything, in my brain. I mean, I know enough of it, but there were some guys that were there, and they were the medics, right? They were going through medic school, I believe.
Basically an 18 Delta, yeah.
Yeah, but they weren't like a blessed 18 Delta. Like I think they were going through the course, and this was part of like their hands-on whatever training. They were just being, medical staff. So it was like, it was a large woman on a 4-wheeler. Let's put it that way, a civilian.
That was the on-site medic.
Yeah. And I remember I looked at her and I remember my brain was like, I don't want her fucking touching me, man.
This ain't my person.
I don't think so. Like you ain't fucking touching me. And I remember I looked up a couple of SEALs. I mean, I'm laying down, right? So I remember looking at a couple of them and I was like, boys, you going to fucking help me or what? Like, I need you on this. I don't want her. I want you. And I remember them kind of looking at each other, right? So they must have been in the early portion of their training. I don't know. Yeah. A couple of them stepped in to try and help, but she must have been the senior ranking, whatever, medical staff. And she pulled it. I didn't feel it, but before she pulled it, I grabbed a boot of one SEAL and I grabbed the boot of another SEAL and I just looked at him. I was like, you boys better not fucking fall down. I'm like, because I don't know what's about to happen. Don't fall down. And I remember just the look on the one guy's face that I could see. He's like, oh shit. Like he wasn't sure, Yeah. Like, hey, do you want to feel it real quick? So I was like, fuck yeah. Like, yeah, I want to feel it. I mean, this is the one time I'm going to be able to feel bone outside my body, knock on wood.
Yeah.
And so I felt it. And I'm like, oh,
That's a femur.
That's a femur. Now I know. But they pulled it. Everything was good. Got in the ambulance. You know, they were trying to give me, I think, morphine or something. And then they were calling in, you know, the hospital, like, not sure if they should do it. And, you know, there was this EMT. This is where maybe part of my frustration of overweight individuals in an environment where you need to be physically capable and sound comes into play. And he was huge, man. Drinking out of one of those, like, 64-ounce big gulps.
Super cool.
Yeah, and I started feeling this sensation. It was hot. It was warm. Kind of comfortable. And then I got really embarrassed. I'm like, man, I just pissed myself. Like, out of all this, I just pissed myself.
Did you?
No.
Oh.
That was the first thought. And then once I realized, nah, I didn't pee. That's blood. I was like, fuck. Man, that's a lot of blood. I remember looking at him. I was like, hey, man, I'm bleeding out. He looks up at the little charts. He's like, nah, you're good. I was like, no, dude, I'm bleeding out. Like, you need to fucking come help me. I'm bleeding out. And he like tries to rock, you know, in his little chair. He's trying to rock back and forth to get up. Barely gets up. Leans over, looks, and then finally went into panic mode. Just starts like stuffing gauze and like just trying to control the bleeding, trying to figure out what's going on. You know, gives me oxygen. And I'm like, dude, if I'm going out, just tell me. Like, I can handle it. I just want to know if I'm going to go out. I need to have a thought process first, think about a couple things, and then I can go out. I don't want to, but yeah. Anyways.
And it was during a 96.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. We were back home. We were finding out. We were trying to figure out how to get you support.
You guys were having a big old party.
Yeah. But until that happened.
Yeah.
And then we're like, son of a bitch. And, yeah, nobody was really responding because it was the holiday.
Barbecue time.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we'll take care of that Monday. I'm like, well, he's bleeding out. So we're going to have to do something here. Anyways, we got.
Yeah. No, you guys did.
Hannah got
everything that I could have asked for.
Yeah.
I mean, and more.
Yeah. And anyways, so you got there. They ended up putting what? 17-inch rod in there?
Yep.
And then finally got you. How was the I don't remember. How was the ride back? How did they get you?
I flew like regular civilian aircraft and got shitty service and support, man.
Sweet. So you just had this huge leg locked up in a wheelchair and everything, and they didn't like, give a shit.
You can't have a whole row. I'm like, well, where do you want me to put it? It doesn't move. I can't bend it. Like, I can't put it under a seat.
I can't
stow my leg away because I can't bend it. Like, it's like, finally there was a marshal that like came out of character, you know, because they have to be the character that they are, that they're just a regular person that play. And he finally came out and kind of pulled over and whispered to us. And I wasn't irate, you know, but I was more baffled. I was on a lot of fucking drugs.
Yeah.
Thankfully I didn't get irate, but I was like hired and shit.
Yeah.
And I was frustrated. And he kind of came over and like gave Hannah a blanket, you know, and he's like, hey, just let you guys know, like, I'm doing everything I can. You know, I'm trying to get you into first class. Like, he was trying to do everything he could.
Yeah.
But anyways, got back. So
yeah.
it's fine.
And then that was, fuck, dude, you just went on like how long was that recovery? Almost 2 years?
I call it 2 years.
Yeah.
Only because it was 2 years almost, you know, to when I exited. So I call that 2 years.
Yeah, but it wasn't, you had multiple surgeries, right? You had to go, and then you had to have a knee surgery because it got locked up, all the scar tissue.
Yeah, knee surgery, and then they finally did the shoulder. And then, yeah, it was just.
And then physical therapy you lost a ton of weight too, man.
Strength conditioning and physical therapy, and that was it. Rinse, repeat every day.
That was probably your smallest, huh? As an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably 180.
It's
something.
crazy if you 180.
I think
pounds.
low 190s. I
Oh,
mean, if I look at pictures, like I'm like.
Definitely. Like if you look at those pictures, you don't even look the same.
I went from like 235 to like 190.
Yeah, man. Fucking high on Quaaludes.
It was a good time.
I remember you were like, dude, you're like, I need to come out of the clouds.
Yeah. Once I finally like realized like how much fucking narcotics I was on.
Yeah.
You know? I was like, ooh, I'm out here, man.
And that was basically it. They said you're one of the doctors.
I had a couple people that I don't want to say helped me get what I want, but I had come to a realization. And
well, I'm talking about the surgeon that was like, you're never gonna.
Oh yeah, dude.
You're never gonna run, barely walk again.
No, bro. He's like, you ain't lifting, you ain't running, like anything that's hard, compacting wise, pressure. He's like, you just need to live a gentle life. I was like, nah, dude. Like, does it look like where I came from? I fucking lead a gentle life. I mean, not happening.
Fuck. Yeah, they were, and oh man, we came over there to build that place that you were in a wheelchair.
Oh man.
And who was it? Was it? It had to have been McKenna. Capri was a baby.
Yeah, she was only a little over 1. So
yeah, McKenna was. What did she say to you?
She's like, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll teach you how to walk again."
Fuck. Damn. That shit gets me every time. I'm sure it gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, McKenna. Thanks for teaching Dad to walk again. Now you're.
Now I gotta even more so keep up with her.
Yeah, no kidding. And another one. And another little fast one. Yeah, but you're dude, that just shows you like it just takes work, right? You could have been, to this day, you probably could have, if you didn't put the work in you did, you could have still been hobbling around on a cane.
Yeah. You just made me think of something, man. Like, out of the people that we talk to today, currently, with, a lot of stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
I've had people tell this to me about my situation. And they're like, well, it must have been nice to have such high-level staff doing all the work. And you being afforded the opportunity to have, people that were at such a high level.
Must be nice.
That's the only reason why, you've had the recovery that you had. I was like, well, just because I had a staff there, like, they didn't fucking lift the weights.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't
show up.
I lived there.
Yeah.
I could have went in for 30 minutes, done my thing, checked my box, done my PT, right? Like, everyone's got to do their little ortho or whatever. I could have, done the minimal, walked the fuck out, went home, sat on my couch, ate fucking pills,
and fucking bonbons,
and cried myself to sleep.
Yeah.
More than I did. No, what I mean? Like, I could have had a very sour and negative outlook.
Drinking,
and just
adding pills.
And just done that. Been like, well, this is it. Even though I'm afforded an opportunity, this is it. Fuck, man. Like, I was there. I mean, I lived there. I created a bonding relationship that I was with those humans. I tried to, like, essentially rape their brains of all the information.
No, that became your mission.
Yeah.
Getting back to where you are today became, I remember, like, that was it wasn't anything else.
No.
Your mission for 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day was that.
And when I wasn't performing it physically myself in that environment, guess what was happening? All those other team guys were coming in there and they were doing their training. They were doing their workouts. And, it was a little bit of therapy maybe, I guess, because I'd still be involved in the people. Yeah. But I would watch them too. And then I would watch the PT, how he interacted with them. I knew everyone's fucking injury in there. I knew everyone's. And it was cool because I would watch him and I would watch how they approached each injury different. Now, I wasn't a school trained or licensed, physical therapist nor strength coach.
I think that's where you got the fire for what we do now, man. That's where you learned everything.
100%.
Yeah.
I had top strength coach, top PT, and a top athletic trainer. And I literally just watched and I studied them when they did things to me and then when they did things to everyone else and then everything in between. I'd be asking them questions.
That PT, I think he might be out now, but no?
Yes, but no.
Yeah.
He's now back doing.
Oh, but he is the top PT in the Navy, correct? Now.
Yes.
He's the number one.
In the Navy, then he went into SOCOM, and then he was top
in joint.
After some joint stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number one PT, basically military wise. Yeah. Was working on you. And he worked on me too.
Good human.
Yeah, he's a great human. Yeah. And he's got some good blood in him too. So if you catch this, thank you, Malaka.
But yeah, so that's where the fire came from. It was one, a refusal for me to not want to just give in to whatever the fuck they were saying.
Yeah.
I had kids.
You made a choice, and that's the thing is like everybody, oh, it must be nice. Motherfucker must be nice. Do you know how much fucking work it takes to put into something like that?
They could have told me all the information.
Yeah.
All they wanted. It's not their job to do it or perform it.
And the reality is, and I'm not throwing stones, but we have friends that get hurt and they make a choice too. And they do make a choice and they do the bare minimum and they sit on their ass. They take pills, they drink booze, they do the check in the box and they're still fucked up,
on all platforms.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, emotionally, everything.
Yeah, their life, everything. You know, and that's a choice too, right? You're making a choice too. Or you can just fucking go all in. Go all in on everything.
And I didn't know what the outcome was going to be.
No, you can't.
I could have put in all that work.
And it'd still be fucked up.
All that effort, and I could be confined to less than what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see what was possible.
Yeah. But that's the mentality that it takes, man. If you want to, and that goes with anything. That goes with that recovery. That goes into building a business. That goes into your own physical fitness. You know, and you know, like a message to our clients that are listening to this. That's you get out what you put into it. We tell them that all the time.
Oh, I got a compromised arm or something. Like, fucker, I got videos where I'm in a sling and I have a belt around my waist
with a kettlebell hanging.
Kettlebell's hanging, and I'm squatting on the top of boxes.
2 boxes, yeah.
Just so I can continue to work my lower extremity, even though the upper's compromised. Yeah. I'm on a rower in a sling.
At one point, you couldn't even do that. You were sitting doing that stupid hand crank thing.
Yeah, a hand bike.
Yeah,
that was terrible.
Yeah,
I don't wish that upon anybody, by the way.
How long were you? Because you would do that for like 30, 45 minutes on a stupid ass hand.
I went to another place. That was probably like another dark place. Like, oh god, this is what I'm doing. I hope this yields a benefit.
I'm staring at a concrete wall.
I hope there's a benefit.
I remember they positioned it. What a horrible place to position that thing too. It was just on a corner of a wall. You're like, well, how about putting this on like a table so I can watch TV or something? No, ma'am, you go get in the corner and crank that for 45 minutes. Yeah, but it is. You get out what you put into it. And there's guys that we see in our program who fucking excel and it changed their life, but they go all in. They don't dabble. They don't try. They just go fucking all in. They do what we say. They commit 100%. They turn their brain off. They stop they stop living feeling based. They go all in, and we see it, right? We see what happens to these guys.
And it's key people.
Yeah.
Sometimes people be like, well, how come they're the only ones getting the accolades and this and that? I said, well, listen, they're the ones that are doing all the work.
All of it.
They're like the appropriate work.
Yeah.
Like the real work. They're not half-assing it. They're not, quarter doing something and making excuses. And
what's crazy is all the ones that go all in, I love it. And then we're getting off target, but they go, I'm passionate about talking about it because I'm proud of them. They make it's crazy to watch like them go from like 300 pounds to 210. And they're like, now they're having like they're crazy sex with their wife. Their kids are looking up to them. They're having better relationships with their kids. They're making more money,
Business is booming.
Businesses start booming.
Internal dialogue of just energy, not energy to like go run 20 miles. Like I'm not talking about that
just
kind
daily,
of energy. I'm
just daily life.
Just the daily energy from waking up out of bed to taking a shower and getting off the shitter. Like the energy of that, of feeling just light on your toes, man.
Yeah.
Nothing better than that.
Anyways, I'm proud of them. And so you that called it quits, man. You got retired. They were like, nope, you're done. And you were still kind of not really. At 2 years, you were good, but you weren't 100%.
No.
Yeah, you weren't 100%.
No, I was doing damn good. There's a couple areas, that I still was lagging a little bit in, and I personally thought that I was. Yeah. I think the staff did as well.
But you didn't stop. Like at post, it was enough to like, hey, you're good enough.
Oh yeah.
To retire.
I had all my supposed surgeries, I got all my stuff done.
And then it was just, I got to spend several years building.
It's just a lifetime effort.
Yeah. You still, to this day, like we were just out in Hawaii, my birthday, and we were working on your hip.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a constant thing.
Shit's going to pop up.
Yeah.
But I want to do everything I can to reduce it or, minimize it.
And I like, that's what you said, like, I have a compromised thing. Since like, motherfucker, stop worrying about what you can't do. I told some of that the other day, he was like, well, I've got this. And he wanted to come on board. Yeah. And I'm like, can you all I'm hearing is you complain about one thing. Meanwhile, there's dudes with like one leg that are crushing it. They're fit as fuck.
These guys are losing legs going back in deployment.
Yeah. Like, dude, don't worry about the one thing that you can't do. Worry about the 47 other things that you're not doing. I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to go pee. Okay, so you retired and then catch us up on the last 9 years? 8?
14? 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
That's like a Netflix series all on its own.
Yeah, I know, man. Mark, what's the runtime?
You're at hour and 40.
Oh, that's not that bad. You guys are hanging in there with us. So I remember, and this is, I think it's important for any vets that might be listening. I remember you pulled chocks fast.
Yeah.
Went right into another job. Doing EP.
When I was advised not to.
Yeah. But I mean, everybody has to kind of learn, but for themselves. But can you talk about your like thought process of where you were at, and then maybe like some hindsight of what you would have done different? You don't have to do specifics. Just
I think it was pretty natural, right? Like
you wanted out, like of the area.
I was done with a career.
Yeah.
I was in a place that I was told to be.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a little bit of that. Don't want to be fucking told what to do anymore in me.
Yeah.
I had left. I don't know if I would have stayed in, for 20, even if this didn't happen.
Yeah.
Whether it was to the next enlistment, right? But either way, I was removed when I didn't make the choice.
Yeah.
No. Either way, I left short of my terms. So there was a little bit of feeling of like, fuck, I just lost, who I was, what I was doing, the friends that I had, the community that I had, the people I had, because everyone just kept the fucking train moving. Nothing wrong with them, but like that's what the train does. It keeps moving.
But it's funny because we get sold this other thing.
You're a special flower that no one can do the job you do. Like
you're the community's forever.
Oh my God, like we're never bullshit.
Yeah,
dude, it wasn't fucking, not to move backwards, but literally it wasn't maybe till 3 weeks until there was less than a handful of people
that were talking to
that
you.
would even talk to me anymore because they were just like, "Oh, you're not on our team anymore? I'm cool story, dude. I fucking don't know who you are, you weak son of a bitch." Like,
yeah,
bro, I'm in a fucking wheelchair, man. Like,
it's I'm laughing, but it's 100 because it's 100% true, and you're like Marine for life, MARSOC for life, Raider for life. Yeah, sure, dude.
Nah, man.
No, you're done.
But again, train keeps moving, so my thought process was like, "Hey, I don't have a job here."
Yeah.
My family's only here because we're supposed to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I just left a community, a career, and a life that I, excelled to try and live. I got to get the fuck out. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got to get the fuck out of here. It was just a feeling. Like a lot of the stuff I didn't have very concrete, like bullet points. It was just more like, I need to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to be around here anymore. I want to get the fuck out. So then what do? The first opportunity, the first thing that maybe dangles in front of your face, you fucking take it. And like literally I got my DD 214 on April 1st, April Fool's Day. Mm-hmm. Never forget that.
Seems fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely fitting. I think I was still in when I flew out to California.
I think so.
I'm 90% sure. Can't remember that. But I went out there and had to go run like a little selection, for this protection company that I was going to start working for. So before I even left, I got my paperwork from there. And then I remember, they had called me, kind of went in an interview, and they're like, "Hey, when can you work? When can you this?" And I'm like, "Dude, here's the deal. I get my papers on this day. I can have a pod pack, this. It was down to I calculated if I drive at this miles an hour, I can make it across country at this amount of time, and I can start the job at this time." I remember the guy looking at me and he's like, "Are you fucking serious?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got to keep moving. I need to do something." And I got the hell out of here. Like, lost my ass on a house. I was like, "Oh, I'm done." So I short sell the house.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my ass, man. And that thing is still sticking with me today. So if there's anybody out there that knows how to fix that, please let me know.
All right, and don't do that.
And don't do it.
Yeah, real estate is nice money.
It fucked me over, and our ability and my family's ability to be able to buy a house up until
right now,
literally last year.
Yeah.
And that's still on my record when I was told otherwise. But anyways, like it's something that it was a rash decision.
Yeah.
That I thought was correct. And I lost my ass, and it carried with me for a long time. And we got the fuck out.
I think you're doing pretty good now with your villa in Hawaii, in Kona.
Yeah,
but you've worked for it, that's for sure.
But it's taken a lot of time.
Taken a lot of time, man.
I'm grateful for the opportunity we have right now, but we lost many of others, and then the heartache that that it gave us
Yeah.
because we lost those was tied to a decision that I had made under rash conditions in a supposed thoughtful process.
Yeah.
That's what would always aggravate me, is I had to own up to that.
And and because of that, I'm looking at, now I'm trying to look back at it, like you going out there, you guys having to go to Hawaii, what you had to do up in the north side. Like there was a lot of, it was kind of a domino effect that was created because of that. And this is a story of transition, right? Yeah. Transitioning out of special operations or the military in general, especially in conjunction with a tragic incident.
Yeah.
That needs to be handled appropriately.
Space and time.
Yeah.
And a thoughtful process in that space and time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard to communicate to someone when somebody's in that mindset, though.
I don't know if I've ever been able to do it. I've tried too. It's hard, but it takes the individual to go take a breath, pause, and go, okay, what's really the best solution here? Don't make rash decisions. Best way you can do that is if you know when you're getting out, right? Set yourself up financially, if you can, so that way when you get out, because that's the biggest threat, or not threat, but that's the biggest thought that most guys have. I know you had it.
Yeah, same way.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Right? I know I had it.
How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to provide for my family?
Yeah. If I go 2 weeks without a paycheck, I'm fucked.
The fact that yeah, exactly. If you're living in a situation that you're going, you go without a paycheck for 2 weeks, that you're fucked. That should be addressed right there.
Like, I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to feed my family, car payments, electric, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to take this break time, which I think everyone should do, set yourself up financially to be able to cover until some other stuff takes place.
And here's the deal. You're going to take that break regardless.
It's going to come at some point.
At some point, you're going to have to take that break. You did.
Yeah.
And it was dark. It was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, because you were like running from it.
Yeah.
Up until you got to
until the fucking bungee cord snapped. And then it all came flying at me and hit me and knocked me, the fuck out. And I broke. Not broke, but,
it was a hard time.
You kind of start to begin to process everything. And it hits you.
What were you doing? I'll never forget. I was like, what is Josh doing? He's an orange farmer now?
I know. Everyone would be like, fucking you a pineapple rancher?
He went from Marine Raider to EP to now you're a fruit farmer in Hawaii?
California was short-lived. I just knew that it wasn't for me, for what I was doing at the time.
Yeah. For where you were at in your life.
But I was making good money financially.
Yeah.
Like, we were stable. We were this, we were that. But
money's not everything if you're not healthy.
There was something in me that just, I knew internally that I needed a break because I didn't take it.
Yeah.
And that job at that current time was just as fast-paced.
Yeah, how many hours a day?
Maybe not just fast-paced. It was 12 hours was my shift.
Mm-hmm.
And, me and another guy, we were like shift lead. So it was either an hour for sure, on the front side or back side. So that's a 14-hour day. I just left 14-hour days. I just left deployments. I thought I was done leaving on a voluntary basis, my family.
Nope.
No. And then I'm like, dude, I'm not doing it.
We all do that. We all throw ourselves. I did. I threw myself right into essentially the military. I was contracting.
Yeah.
It's the same shit. You're just not wearing a uniform.
What, you're making more money?
You're making more money, but you're still fucking gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
To me, that was the biggest thing that I think clicked in my head, that I was gone. And I didn't like that about me. As much as I loved wearing the military, like what it was and what we were doing.
Yeah, of course.
Me as a man, as an individual, I fucking love and respect my family.
Yeah.
And I started coming to this realization that we're like glorified deadbeat dads.
Yeah.
Like we're justifiable because
we're doing this thing. We're doing this thing.
But you voluntarily are leaving your family and your children 9-10 months out of the year for a deployment in another country. And then the time you're back, you're gone 3 weeks out of the month, but you're this like warrior patriot family man. Like,
sure.
Dude, not a fucking chance, man.
No.
Don't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Try. Do your best. But that was at least my perspective.
And then here we're doing it again after the service.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still doing it.
And I made this choice. And, like you were saying earlier, like I wouldn't change those choices. These are all looking back on it, you know.
Yeah.
And I think something in me was trying to give me some warning signs, like the check engine lights were going on, but the car was still running.
You're like, it's okay.
And I just had this feeling. I was like, I gotta get out.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I gotta get out. And it was like, I think my wife got this random phone call. And I had expressed interest, you know, at one point, you know, like living in Hawaii and working on this farm. And that went away because the option never happened. I didn't push it. I never asked for it. And then I remember the call kind of came out of nowhere of like, hey, if you guys are thinking about, you know, wanting to be near your family and, you know, you want to be home, but you don't know what to do. And to be quite honest, you really don't have a fucking skill set that transfers over, directly transfers over. Like, not legal. I have this option for you. And this is what it entails, and this is what it does. And I was, you know, getting trained and spun up to be, you know, a manager on, it was a nursery, a citrus orchard, citrus farm, largest producing in the state for the past 35 years. So it's not like it was like a backyard show.
Yeah,
Like, these people know what they're doing. And I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I mean, it sounds cool. It sounds fun, something different. And so that's what I went and did. I literally left California after like 5 months. I left Hannah and the girls there, and I pushed forward. I did my PDSS. I went to Hawaii and like set up shop and got our place ready and scrubbed the walls with bleach. You know, I prepped the space, started working the job, and I was ready, you know, to bring them into the fold whenever it was time.
Wild. But that's when you kind of like you started to slow down, and that's when everything kind of hit, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was good that I slowed down. Like
because you had to go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because all I would have been doing was kicking the can further down the road.
Yeah.
If I didn't slow down then, and if I didn't have some sort of human realization in me that I should or need to slow down, guess what? I would have just kept pushing.
Yeah.
And then it might have been another year down the road, another 2 years down the road. At some point, it was going to happen.
And then probably the more time you put it off, the worse it's going to be.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because you have that many more years to unpack.
Yeah.
That much more shit builds up.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, man, what a wild ride.
Yeah, man. So I worked on an orchard for a year. Many of them, like total of probably like 300 acres or something like that. And
Quickly tell the story about you.
Which one? I don't even know where you're going.
The poacher or whatever he is.
Oh, Jesus.
Is this even, I don't know if it's legal. I mean, you had friends, but.
It's legal.
Yeah. So basically there's somebody stealing. You lived on the property. You and your family lived on the property, right? You had a house.
We lived on one property, and then there were multiple other properties. The main nursery property was just down the road.
Yeah.
And this would have been almost 2 months after I was there. So I'm fresh out the door of leaving special operations. Leaving EP and getting into this new place.
And you're like, this is why I'm here. This is my calling in life. So tell them what happened.
Come to find out, man, like there's rippers and stealers anywhere, no matter. Yeah. But to me, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You're ripping fucking stealing from me. I didn't own the place, but like you're fucking stealing from me.
Yeah.
And I respected the people that were there. And then I found out how much they were ripping.
How much was it?
All in all, like, so, I mean, he couldn't run exact numbers because you don't always get caught.
Yeah.
This man knew his fruit trees. He knew what yields he had and ran numbers for years. And he was guesstimating between all the properties, mainly this one and this other one. You know, he was losing at that time somewhere between like $40,000 and $50,000 a year. Well, $40,000 and $50,000 a year, you know, to him personally as a business, he's making a lot of money. I don't care who you are. That's a lot of money.
That's somebody's salary.
But in the essence, that's what it was. That's what got me. That is a worker's salary. Or it's a portion of all these other workers, and that's why they're making so much less because the business is yielding less. And that's why I was like, fuck no, dude. No, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
And I sat down with him, and I'm like, give me the details. Where are they coming in? Let's walk the perimeter. You know, what time of night? I got real deep into it.
Yeah.
And it was, dude, it was actually Halloween night. It was a full moon on Halloween. Like somehow that happened. We go trick-or-treating with the kids. And in my mind, the whole time we were trick-or-treating, after we got done trick-or-treating, I'm planning this op. And I'm like, I'm going to fucking get him. And I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to fucking get him. So we get done trick-or-treating. We head home, put the kids to bed. And I looked at my wife. I'm like, okay, here's the deal. This is how we're going to do it. I loaded up. I put my stuff on. Dude, I put full on fucking cry. Literally like I was going on like an op.
Yeah.
I mean, I took all my cry. I had a buckle on. I had fucking mechanics gloves on, right? Flashlight.
Some other things.
I had a Leatherman. Those really nice like flexi cuffs, you know?
Yeah.
And a poncho liner because it was raining, and I hid under a fucking tree. So basically the way it was, and prior to doing that, there was a fence line, like an L-shaped fence line, and there was an old shitty road that backed up to that fence line.
Yeah.
And the fruit trees that were in high production just so happened to be right at that fence line. And probably 2 weeks maybe prior to this, me and the guy who owned the place, it was pretty smart of him actually, is we rigged up car batteries with car horns. So we went down to the like O'Reilly's or something, you know, and we bought fucking car horns. And we took car batteries and we would charge them up during the day. And then at night, they'd had a full charge on the battery, and we set up fishing line as fucking tripwires. So if they tripwired, it would pull the plug on the car alarm, and then that would give me basically an early warning sign to detection. It would do one thing. It would run them off.
Yeah.
Or it would give me a warning that like someone's in the property and they're going to keep coming.
Yeah.
So I had light with me. I had night light with me because it was full moon. And dude, this car creeps up. I'm like, oh, no way. Oh, this is game on, dude. Like, this is it.
And you're alone. This is just you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm alone. I'm like, game on. Like this, I don't know how many guys are there. I don't know what's going on. But you got to remember, man, it's rippers, right? Obviously, you're not in the right set of mind at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
You're ripping fruit off a tree. You're probably high up on drugs and meth or something else, or you're just a fucking crackhead.
Yeah.
So that was in my mind a little bit. And the car door, kind of slowly closes. And I was like, oh, shit. Now he's trying to be tricky. And I actually bedded down the fence a little bit, to give him a little bit of an easy passage before I hit up under the tree, and I had myself positioned. I watched the two guys come in, and the deal is you have to rip fruit in order to get, you can't just catch them, breaking a fence line.
Yeah.
I haven't really caught him in the act yet. So I got to almost let them kind of do the act if they're really going to do it.
Yeah, because Hawaii's got some weird rules, right?
I knew the law at that time, and we actually were in some sort of a danger zone or something because the lava was going and we were within the radius. So all the arrests and everything went to upgraded to the next level. Nice. And I knew the poundage.
But I mean, as far as the property in Hawaii, trespassing rules.
Yes, you got to have signs out. It was, I mean, I had talked to the police station about what kind of stuff legally do we need to have. If they're going to break it anyway, it's not going to be shit about a sign, but we had to have it posted, it had to be a certain amount of feet.
They have to see it
on the fence line. And then the fruit, too, also had to be a certain amount of weight. I have no way of knowing that, but I'm watching these guys pick the fruit off the trees, and I'm like, oh, God, here we go, man. And I jump out, had a flashlight. I had a loud mechanism that created noise, and I set that off and kind of fucking got those guys running. And the one dude ran completely the opposite fucking direction. I can't chase two people at once. I don't care who you are. I can't do it. And the one guy, I for some reason I had my fucking sights set on him. I was like, oh, this one's mine. This one's fucking mine. He starts running. I fucking ran after him. I tackled him. Dude, I straight up it was muddy and wet. And I just threw his face in the fucking mud. I threw the flexi cuffs on the back, so I had him all cuffed up. And then in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's not enough. That's definitely not enough. And I took my fucking belt off. And I hog-tied his feet. And I'm like, that's not enough. So I hog-tied his feet to his hands. I rolled him over in the mud. So then I got to make the phone call to the owner of the property. So I call him, and then he calls the cops, and then the cops come. But I'm hiding in the bushes because I'm waiting for friends because the one guy got away. I'm like, well, if he comes back for his car,
I'll grab him too.
This guy's not going anywhere. Yeah. I know that for sure. Yeah. He ain't going nowhere. So if I sit next to the car while I wait for the cops, dude, if this guy comes back, I can get a 2-for-1. That never happened. But this fucking thing I was scared of was I was bedded down. And then all of a sudden the cops started coming up this side road, and they got all their lights on, and I'm in full dress, balaclava on, and I'm hiding in the bushes. I'm like, oh boy, this is not going to look good, So I a couple of them passed by, and I was able to hop the fence to get in the property before, they got onto the property. and they come on, and we're talking, whatever. And the guy looks, and he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" He's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, I work here. I'm just a helping hand."
And cry camis.
I mean, I took the gloves off, took the block off.
Yeah,
Like, I tried to make myself look a little bit normal as I could, but there was no way of that.
Oh.
Definitely stood out. And then I untied the belt, and then the one cop, he's like a junior guy, I could tell. He's like looking at the plastic flexi cuffs in the back, and he's like, didn't know how to get them off. So I had a Leatherman. So I'm like, all right, here, take, like I'm going to transfer you. I was trying to do the old transfer, of like prisoner type thing, and he just wasn't getting it.
No.
So I'm like, okay, well, this is like, you cut that. Like you're the cop. Like you're the guy with the badge. Like you put he's yours now. Like I just gave you him. Like, do what you need to do. So the kid looks, man, he's like young kid, takes the fucking Leatherman, looks at the cuffs, takes the Leatherman, and he starts cutting towards the guy's wrist.
Holy shit.
I grabbed the cop's arm, like, hey, dude, not trying to touch you. I was like, not trying to touch you, not trying to tell you what to do, but I would be advised to not cut towards his wrist. He's like, oh, yeah, good thought. I'm like, dude. And finally, I was just like, hey, man, are we good here? Like, I don't want nothing more to do with the situation.
Yeah.
Are we good here? And then the one cop talked to me, and he's like, yeah, I'll find you later. I'm like, okay, well, I'll be here. I work here.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What happened to those guys? Do you even know?
Probably waiting into the system, and they charged them or whatever, and who knows, man.
Yeah, let them go.
But it was an interesting story, like 2 months into working this job, and
I remember calling you when that happened. You're like, you're never gonna believe what I just did. I went all John Rambo. These fruit stealers. It's like, what is Josh doing now?
Going fucking rogue, man.
Oh man. Yeah. So okay. So anyways. So you abandon that side. You end up, a lot of stuff happens. But what are you doing now?
I mean, we're working with the Agoge.
Yeah, changing men's lives,
Changing
right?
people's lives.
Changing people's lives.
Creating a pathway.
That's
right?
true.
And assisting people to see maybe a better vision and a version of themselves that they can be.
Yeah.
And they be a providing mechanism of the groundwork. From there, they got to walk it. But if I can teach them maybe how to walk it as well by just not giving it to them, teach them how to walk it.
Yeah. And we come from, we all bring it all from experience, our personal experience.
Yeah.
Of us, getting out of shape and not living right and not being focused on certain areas. And man, once you do, it changes everything. So on that note, then let me ask you this question. Let me ask you a couple questions. Somebody's depressed. What do you tell them?
Think cap your thoughts. Well, I mean, if someone's going to tell me this, then I'm going to assume. Did someone tell me this, or is this just a?
Yeah, man, I'm depressed.
Okay.
What do I, Josh? What do I do? You got a client that says I'm depressed. What do you do?
I'm like, okay. In my mind, like, so an internal dialogue is kind of happening. I'm like, okay, there's a trust mechanism here. Like, I'm not going to fucking tell someone I'm depressed if I don't really want them to maybe ask. Yeah. Or if I don't trust them enough to tell them that there's something wrong.
Give me something. Yeah.
So to me, instantly right there, I'm at like a handshake of trust. Like that's the way I take it. So I don't take it lightly. I'm not just like, yeah, cool. Like the road's going to be happy. I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's he's entrusted in me to tell me this. So I got to try and figure out like what's going on. Like what are you depressed about? Like is it something? Is it many things? Do you not know what it is? Like, and then if I can find the why or the mechanism that their thing that they're depressed about, and or are they doing anything negative? Like, so you are depressed. That's a feeling. That's a thought. That's normal. But like, now what are you doing about it?
Nothing.
Like nothing. But what does that nothing look like? Because that nothing is something.
Sitting on the couch.
Okay. So it's all something. Okay. Sitting on the couch. What are you doing sitting on the couch? Watching TV?
Playing on my phone.
How many hours a day are you doing it? Don't know.
All the time.
Like how are you eating?
Shit.
You ordering food?
Yeah.
All right. Every meal or like just one meal?
Pretty much.
All right. Drinking?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So then all these alert mechanisms were going in my head. I'm like, fuck, what? You're literally not doing nothing, but you're doing something.
Yeah.
So then you got to figure out how to chip away at, in my perspective, is you got to assess the person, right? Some people can drop all those habits because they can find a thing and they can just charge forward.
Yeah.
But other people, it might be a bigger thing, on them. So you just got to start chipping away. So anything else negative? Okay, other than sitting on the couch and eating like shit and fucking drinking, is there anything else negative? Those are physical things that you're either doing or not doing. Is there anything else negative? Like, what's the internal dialogue? What are we thinking about?
Yeah.
And try to figure out those mechanisms. So now you have a mental mechanism that you're thinking about, and then you have the physical mechanism that you're thinking about. And although they overlap, they're also individual at the same time. So it's data points. It's a lot of data collection. And as someone begins to tell you something, in my perspective, you kind of got to keep asking them. Because the first thing you're going to say is, it's like, all those things you go to you go to the doctor and like, oh, do you drink at all? Yes. How much do you drink? One drink, on Friday. Maybe two. Yeah, that's it. Like, you're fucking, okay. Let alone the guys at home, every night, drinking like 8 drinks or a 12-pack or something like that. Like, so he's got a little bit of truth in there, but it might not be the full truth. All right, so you have to, in my mind, I got to figure out like, how much is this guy really telling me? I don't want to call him out as a liar because he's giving me trust that he's telling me something.
Yeah. So once you unpack that, what are you telling him?
Do you like the way you're at? Do you enjoy what you're doing?
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
Like, let's start listing all these things out of what you're doing and the fact that you don't enjoy it. So we need to get that observation mechanism on hold, that what you're currently doing is not yielding what you want.
Right.
And you understand that. So then we can start building a groundwork of a schedule and a pathway to get you out of that hole. Like, do you want to come out of that hole?
That's a great question, right?
I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, just because I tell you I'm sitting on the couch and I'm depressed, some people might think it's kind of easy or natural.
I'm just going to be here.
Do you really?
This is where I live now.
Like, do you want to change?
Yeah. Because you have to want to.
What does that change look like?
Yeah. Effort.
What do you want to change?
Yeah.
Like, what vision do you see yourself, in a perfect world?
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is all behind you and done, whether it's a year, 6 months, or whether it's 10 years from now, whatever that is. Like, what is your vision of like a perfect world? Doesn't mean you really have it or it's clear, but I want to start getting that person to think in a state to where things can be better, they will be better, and they can be beautiful. And then you just start chipping away at that. Like, okay.
So you deal with the same thing with anxiety? Some of my clients like, man, I just feel a lot of anxiety.
Anxiety's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah. I've had it. And so the unfortunate but beauty of it is like I've had aspects of a lot of this stuff. So at least I have a piece of it that I can reflect upon.
Yeah.
Or at least draw some sort of assimilation, to someone. The anxiety is just fear of the unknown that hasn't even happened yet.
Nailed it. Yeah.
I mean, and I'm like, and again, I'm not a perfect human. Right? Like, everyone gets anxious about something from time to time, but that's what I try and tell myself and remind myself. I'm like, okay, dude, why are you anxious? And then I got a justifiable reason. I'm like, well, yeah, of course, I'm anxious about this. And then I'm like, well, yes, I should be anxious. No, stop. Like, let hit the pause button. I may be thinking about something, but I don't need to be anxious, about something that is in the future or is now that hasn't even happened or I don't even know to be true.
Yeah.
So unless I know that it's 100% true, then it's not anxiety. It's a whole nother sort of line of questioning.
Right.
But if I don't even know what's really going on or it hasn't even happened yet,
right.
Holy shit, I'm getting worked up over nothing. Yeah. Like,
I think it's the education point of understanding that, right? Like the fear of the unknown. I like how Tony Blauer breaks it down. It's, fear is false expectations appearing real. I mean, that's essentially it's anxiety. Yeah. It's like you're being anxious over something that hasn't happened yet. And
you're going to start creating problems that don't really exist.
Right.
Like, in your mind, you're going to convince yourself of all these other things that aren't even true that you definitely don't know. And then you're going to start creating problems. And then you're going to have real fucking problems that you're going to have to face.
Right.
Because you created them because you're being anxious. Yeah. It's like,
but at the end of the day, action alleviates all of that. Action alleviates that. Action alleviates depression, change, forcing, even if you have to force it. Get your ass up, go outside.
Peel back, build a plan.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to build one, find someone who can do it for you. Or ask someone. Ask someone for help. Like, reach out. Ask a friend. Look, man, I need help.
Yeah.
Like,
here's another thing that really grinds my gears, Josh. Everybody thinks that, getting help, getting a coach, asking a friend, whatever, is a sign of weakness.
I knew you were going to say that.
Like, well, I don't want to be appeared weak. What's the stronger thing to do? What's the more courage thing to do?
Ask for help.
That takes balls.
Guidance.
Yeah. That takes balls.
It's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable.
Yeah. And a lot of guys don't want to be vulnerable, but the reality is, I've said this once, I've said it a million times. I think I've only known one that I know of, one billionaire. And, you know, lots of very wealthy people, but one true billionaire. And when I look at successful people, they have these 3 traits, and I know we talk about it. Extremely thankful for what they have. Great. I mean, they're grateful for the people that they have in their life, their family, their friends, their opportunities. They're just grateful across the board. They're just super thankful. Second thing is very giving. They're giving their time, energy, and resources to others. And the third thing is they're extremely vulnerable for where they're at, where they've been, what they're dealing with. They're just open books.
And this is all irregardless of how much money you have.
Yeah.
And all of those attributes are free.
Yeah.
You can perform those actions
at any level,
at any time, at any level.
But I think that by performing those attributes, it levels up over a period of time.
It does.
It changes your it changes your trajectory because it changes your perception.
And there's something I always talk about. I try to be real and open and honest about on this. And it made me think about back to when you're talking about, like, you know, training and persevering and all this kind of stuff. And the feats that, you know, you're able to do and other people. Just because I talk like this, just because I do have this thought process, this theory, this thing that I own and I really work hard at, doesn't mean I'm doing it perfect.
No, it's a practice.
But if it's a perspective of some other people that, like, everything is just hunky-dory, like, imperfect. And I always tell everyone, like, listen, I am human, just like everyone else. But if I have this thought process, and if this is what I'm telling my subconscious to do, to think about, and how I should act in the conscious realm, then I'm always working on it myself. I'm not just, you know, demanding or telling this of someone and not doing the work myself because mine's like perfect. No. Everyone has work to do. Everyone has it to do.
Yeah, you're never going to be a 10. The level 10 guy that's a fabricated thing because there's no point of arrival. There's no finish line.
I understand maybe the concepts and the way to do it maybe better than some people. There's plenty of people that know how to do it better than me, but I'm going to keep putting forth that effort, and I'm going to keep trying. And I'm not going to fucking stop. And
right. That's a choice. You're making a choice. Yeah. You're making a choice to continue to grow regardless of whatever that's going on.
And as many times as I talk to someone and tell them these things, I'm telling myself.
Yeah, of course.
At the same time, it's a reminder verbally that if I'm going to tell someone this, because someone's asking me something, I better keep myself in check and keep striving for that same stuff.
Yeah. And if you're stuck, I'm going to go and plug us right now. Get with the Agoge. DM me, message me, comment, click the link below, whatever it is. Get a hold of us. We've got, man, dude, like I said before, watching these guys like take ownership of their life and change their life, basically by the groundwork that we lay, is freaking amazing.
Dude,
you know,
it's remarkable.
Yeah, man. That's there's nothing that brings me more, like, some of the highest joy is watching people take ownership of their life and then literally change the fabric of their family.
And it's funny because everyone is like, well, it's just fitness, it's just nutrition. No, man.
No, it's a mindset.
It's not just that.
No.
Nor is it really that. I don't want to say it all. It's some of it's a byproduct. Like, it's way more than that.
Yeah.
It's a portion. It's a portion of it, but it's not just that.
Yeah.
A lot more to it.
I mean, we're just making fucking dudes again.
Being a better human. I mean, like, it's going to affect all aspects of your life. It's got to start in a couple areas.
The best one is like Jerry's. If you haven't listened to Jerry's story, I don't remember what number it is. I think Mark said it was 30 or 29 or something like that. Killing the 300-pound man. Yeah. Like, the dude would have been dead if he didn't join with us. And now,
almost for certain.
Yeah, and because his dad did.
Yep.
And you know, we were talking about somebody's like got type 2 diabetes, and we're like, I don't even know. We got to figure that out. How many people that we've got off diabetic medication that are no longer type 2 diabetic? Plenty. That's crazy, dude. That's amazing. You know, so if you're one of those guys, you're being selfish and and it comes down to this: if you're you know, a member in your family wants you around. And if you're living in a place where you're like 100 pounds overweight, or even not even that, it doesn't take that much. I mean, hell, you can be 30 pounds overweight and die of a stroke. But you're, you know, type 2 diabetes, your triglycerides are through the roof. You're taking blood pressure medication. Fucking get off that shit, man. Get with us. Let's get your life in order. Stop fucking around, because your kids want to be there. You want to be able to walk your daughter down the aisle. Your wife wants to be there. Dude, did I send you that comment? So I made that video talking about that.
Yeah.
And there was a wife who has a bunch of kids, and her husband's gone, died of a stroke. And it's like they're like, they're not, you know, mad at him, I guess, but they're sad because it's like all these, now they have grandkids, and I think he would have been like in his 50s or something, you know, and he would have been able to partake in all that. I'm like, fuck missing any of that shit. I'm not missing any of that.
It doesn't always guarantee that he's going to be here, but I tell you what, it increases your odds.
Yeah, man. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to do everything I can to be around for that.
I want to be available. I want to be able to say yes. Right? We talked about this how many times?
Yeah.
Like, especially with kids. I mean, you know very well now. I mean, you've had two, you know, older ones at this point, right? And then you got, you know, Dimitri sitting there now.
And we've got a universal soldier in the fridge for next year. He's in cryo.
And it was, you know, same with me. I got two, not as old as yours, but, you know, I mean, older, right?
Yeah.
And there's a decent spread between them, and a third one, you know, who's younger. And I didn't wait until our third one came along. I had this perspective when it was the two, and I was like, fuck, I'm not in control of what a kid wants to do. Most kids want to go run, play, hike, just, you know, they want you on the ground with them, playing with their toys at certain stages, and then they get into like sports, and I want to be able to practice with them, even if it's not my sport. Like, I want to be able to do.
You don't want to be the fat dad on the sideline yelling at your kid to do something that you can't even do.
Fuck no. No. Ain't
happening, bro.
No, I don't want to be the family where like we just don't do anything ever because we're just large and we're incapable. Like,
I want them to do something and me be damn near a subject matter expert so that I can help them.
Yeah.
That's it.
I want to be able
to
do it. Like, I want to be able to, I mean, like, I live in Hawaii, man. Right? So like, I mean, you know how it is. Like, I see mountains and I see things, and I'm like, I want to go take a look and see what's up there. If I was fucking 350 pounds, I could see that and
be like, that's where I die.
Oh, that's a really big mountain. I would never fucking go up there. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I would see people doing, you know, athletic events or shit, even just, you know, having a long walk along the beach or whatever. And I'd just be sitting there in a chair, probably looking like, look at that really fit person. Like, no, it's just because I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like, how fun would it be if you could be immersed in life? You know, you don't have to be a triathlete.
It reminds me of, how you say his last name? Abersom? Yeah.
Barrick.
Barrick
Abersom.
Yeah. Like that dude.
Uh-huh.
From he's one of our clients.
Damn near death.
Literally on the freaking hospital bed.
I'm sorry, buddy, but I don't remember. I know he's had a lot of surgeries.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's able to quantify all of them.
A lot of them.
A lot.
And now he's actually in your hometown.
He's actually, yeah.
While you're
he's
here.
in my hometown right now. We're supposed to, you know, we were going to get together, but I don't want to say he does everything, but he's over 50.
He's freaking jacked, abs.
Ridiculous.
Like living freaking life all of a sudden.
And let me tell you, his diet is extremely restrictive.
Yeah.
So he can't eat the things that, you know, we would give most clients. It just, for his things he has going on.
Again, not an excuse.
So and I've told him this, hey man, you had every excuse in the book, you know, especially at least on the eating platform, to just give in. Then on the physical platform, you could have had an excuse there, right? So he just went out to Hawaii and another island. He was getting married. And before he went out there, he's asking me, he's like, oh, you know, I don't know, you know, like, he knows what to do. He do paddle boards, he trains, he runs, like, he does everything. But he was looking for something different. He found on his own, there was like, kind of like a Spartan race, like a trail run, like a Great Hawaii Trail Run or something that was going on during, like, days before his wedding. And he's like, fuck, I'm going to fucking do it. I'm like, awesome. Like,
what island?
Kauai.
No kidding.
Yeah. So this is days before, you know, he's getting married, and he's seeking out shit that he can do to fucking challenge himself.
Yeah.
Right? He starts, I don't know the exact stats, but let's just say this. He's a couple hundred people back from the starting line. That's how they do it, right?
Yeah, because you're new.
He goes.
Yeah.
He gets first in the 50 and above.
Shut up.
Yes. And like 50th or 12th. Sorry, man. I don't remember, but like extremely high up in the overall ranking. Like this dude crushes. He sends me a video looking at it. You know, I'm like, wow, man. Like days before his wedding. I mean,
I'll when I see him, the main picture, his before picture, one of the main pictures is that picture of him with a bald head, like fresh out of the hospital, like completely skinny. Yep. Like looked like he's dying.
Body count was
gone. Like he just looked like a skin sack. Yeah. And then the photos he just posted in Kona, I'm like, what the fuck?
You perceivably from the outside, you would never know.
No.
100%. You'd be like, well, he's probably been like that his whole life. No.
Nope.
The fucker's worked for it. And that's been a short amount of time.
How long has he been with us?
Man, you're asking me all these questions I should have answers to. I don't know.
It's been almost
5 months, 6 months?
No, it's been longer than that. Had to have been. It feels like he's been longer, but maybe it's not.
Maybe he has. 8 months.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. But you would never know.
No.
So from the outside perspective, you would just think he has it great. He's just one of those guys who's gifted with, a great body, and he's able to just do stuff because he's, he's gifted.
Right.
No, there's a backstory.
Yeah.
Like he has put in the work.
And that's what makes it all so much sweeter. Yeah. Sacrifice and restriction and challenges, doing hard things so that you can live a better life. Well, dude, I think that's all we have time for. Where can people find you?
Don't come to my house.
It's a good way to get fired up.
Pretty much just hang out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Troll there. My name, Josh Honsberger.
Josh Honsberger. If you want Josh to be your coach, hit him up.
Yep. Diagoge.com.
Yep.
It's up there.
Or just message me. We'll get you onboarded. Change your life, man. It's what we do. If you're willing to, if you want it. If you want it. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for hanging out. Hey guys, if this has been beneficial with you, I know it has. Screenshot this, tag Josh, tag me, tag the Always Forward podcast. Leave us a review and go out there and fucking do hard things, man. Go out there and go live life. Challenge yourself.
Live a rad life.
Live a rad life, man. And that's it. All right, guys. You guys know the deal. Never quit, never surrender. Always forward. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.